All right, looks like we are live. Welcome to Standing for Truth. I am your host, Donny, and I want to thank you all for being here for tonight's important debate on dinosaurs and man. A very interesting topic tonight. Do we have evidence for the coexistence of dinosaurs and man? Definitely a fun topic. NephilimFree is taking the young Earth position and therefore the affirmative for tonight. And James W. is taking the old Earth position. For anybody not yet subscribed, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and share around this content, as the truth and critical thinking are so incredibly important. As you all know, we strongly believe in critical thinking on this channel, and one way we promote critical thinking is by hosting some really awesome debates on some very important topics. And this debate is no exception. And NephilimFree, James W., both of you gentlemen are no strangers to this channel. You've both been here before. And Neff, it's actually been a little while, though, since you've been here, my good man. So why don't we start with you? Neff, I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you giving us your time for this important debate. Neff, a little bit about you and a little bit about your channel for the audience. And Neff, I think you're on mute, brother.
Okay, there we go. Oh, well, thank you so much for hosting this. I go by NephilimFree on YouTube. I've been doing Christian apologetics for about 17 years. And my favorite subject is to debate evolution and intelligent design, special creation, and the Bible. Atheism and Christianity, these are the things that I love to debate. Evolution is my favorite subject. I recently turned 60 years of age, and I love doing Christian apologetics and love to debate. So I'm looking forward to debating with James. Thank you so much for being here today to debate with me this evening, James. And thanks, Donny, for hosting this.
My pleasure, Neff. Happy, belated 60th birthday. That's
well,
awesome.
Actually, I'll be 61 in a couple of months. So that was a little, but yeah, I hit the
early birthday.
6-0. Yeah, I hit the big 6-0. So.
Awesome. Happy early 61st birthday, Neff. Hope you're feeling well and glad to see you back in the ring. So, James W., good to have you here as well. The last two times you were here was your debates. Your world famous debates now with Dr. Dino. And for the audience sake, we've got the End Game Chapter 3.
It's coming up
in July. It's coming up, yes, and I'm sure it's coming up fast. So what's going on today, James? A little bit about yourself, a little bit about your channel.
I don't have quite as much experience as Neff. I'll be turning 39 next month, so I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage there, but I co-host a show with the wonderful Amy Newman. You can find our channel, Amy Newman. Just search for that one. I think SFD has it in the links. And we do podcasts every week, at least 2 to 3 times a week, where we tackle like the hard-hitting questions, atheism versus theism. We tackle the questions about religion. And we were asking the other day, why prophets? Why would a deity need prophets? So you can check that show out. And we always have open mics where we ask believers to come on and tell us what they believe and why. And we go from there. So thank you, Donny.
My privilege to be hosting the both of you. Thanks for the introductions, James and NephilimFree. So yes, James, as you put it, I've got the relevant links to both of your channels in the description box. If you like what you're seeing, from the debaters tonight, check them out and you can find more about them. So also, if there are any after shows or anything like that tonight from anybody, let me know and I'll do my best to advertise for those. Okay,
Ours
so
will be tomorrow. Yeah.
So James, yours is going to be
channel
tomorrow.
Probably tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay. And Neff, were you planning any after shows, or is that to be seen?
I wasn't planning on one. Might do one. I don't know. Might check my channel and see if I'm doing one in after a while. Might.
Sure. No rush. No rush. We'll worry about the debate first. And the debate that is formal, semi-informal. We're going to have up to 12-minute opening statements, between 10 and 12 minutes. Then we're going to have 8-minute uninterrupted rebuttals. And then we're going to have a 30-minute back and forth discussion. We're going to keep it free flowing and organic. And of course, as equally timed as possible, focusing on one topic at a time. Then we're going to have a 5-minute closing statement and then an audience Q&A. This is where the party begins. This is where we get you guys in the audience involved. Roughly
fired up.
Roughly 25 30-minute audience Q&A. So guys, make sure you're tagging me with your questions at Standing For Truth. That way I won't miss them. Okay, that being said, let's get into the fun. NephilimFree, I guess you being the affirmative, will let you kick us off with your opening statement, 10 to 12 minutes. And if you need to screen share, either of you just let me know.
Yep.
And I can do so.
Yep, I'm screen sharing.
Oh, yes. Here we go. Looks good. Looks good.
Okay, so I'm ready. Okay, so to refute the evidence that dinosaurs coexisted with man, my opponent must do one of these things. He has to provide empirical evidence that there's a gap in time between dinosaurs and man. This evidence must be testable, else he would be appealing to an idea, not testable evidence. Or show that mankind's historical depictions and legends of dinosaurs are other creatures and not dinosaurs. Or show that the fossil footprints of dinosaurs and humans in the same geological strata are not that of dinosaurs or humans or both. My opponent won't be able to do any of these things. Marco Polo was a famous traveler. You've all heard of him. He lived with the Chinese for 17 years. He was the favored companion of the emperor and ambassador for the emperor. The emperor loved Marco Polo because he was so respectful to him. And he was actually an ambassador for the emperor of China. And when he was there in approximately 1291, after returning, he wrote this. Leaving the city of Yaki and traveling 10 days in a westerly direction, you reach the province of Karazhan, which is also the name of the chief city. There are huge serpents, 10 paces in length, about 30 feet, and 10 spans, about 8 feet long, girt in body. At the forepart near the head, they have 2 short legs, having 3 claws like those of a tiger, with large eyes larger than a 4-penny loaf, and very glaring. The jaws are wide enough to swallow a man, and teeth are large and sharp, and their whole appearance is so formidable that neither man nor any kind of animal can approach them without terror. Others are met with a smaller size, about being 8, 6, or 5 paces long, and the following method is used for taking them. In the daytime, by reason of the great heat, they lurk in caverns, from whence at night they issue to seek to find food. And whatever beast they meet, they can lay hold of, whether tiger, wolf, or any other, they devour. After which they drag themselves towards some lake or spring of water or river in order to drink. By their motion in this way along the shore, and by their vast weight, they make a deep impression, as if a heavy beam had been drawn along the sands. Those whose employment is to hunt them and observe the track by which most frequently accustomed to go, and fix into the ground several pieces of wood armed with sharp iron spikes, which they cover with sand in such a manner as to not be perceptible. And he went on to say that the creatures would drag themselves across these spikes, and they would impale themselves, and this would kill them. And this is how they would take the animals. Now, what he's describing is obviously a dinosaur. There is no other creature in the history of mankind that meets the description he's speaking of. A creature with short little legs in the front, with 3 claws on them, much like that of a tiger, that fits perfectly with the description of a dinosaur. Very, very large creature, and powerful enough and large enough to kill any creature that it comes across. It can eat anything. So now this is a 19th century depiction of a dinosaur. This is what scientists thought dinosaurs looked like. So did man invent dinosaurs? Did he draw accurate depictions of dinosaurs because of his imagination, or these mythical creatures, or were they actually drawing dinosaurs? This is important. So this is what 1800s scientists thought iguanodon looked like on the left. 20th century anatomists examined the bones, and they can tell how much meat and sinew was in one place and another based on its physiology. And this is an accurate depiction. See, modern science versus what they believed in the 1800s. Here again, Megalosaurus. This is what they thought this thing looked like. On the right, 20th century science. This is how they got it right. And again, the same thing here with Megalosaurus. And here is a ancient depiction of Coreanthrosus with a wattle under its neck, and we know that the creature had a wattle. So, was ancient man drawing actual dinosaurs? Remember, in the 1800s, scientists got their depictions of dinosaurs woefully incorrect because of, and they were looking at the actual fossils. They're looking at the bones, right? And they got it woefully incorrect. But modern men, ancient men, drew dinosaurs anatomically correct. So how could they not be actually depicting dinosaurs? Here's a Native American art of a creature you might think of as Edmontosaurus, standing upright in a defensive position. He's standing upright because he encountered another creature, and he's saying, look how big and bad I am. You don't want to mess with me. I'll take you out. That's the position that this thing would be in. Just like a black bear. If you approach a black bear, or a mountain lion does, he stands up on his back feet, unless his paws hang down. He's showing off how big and strong he is. Well, there's certainly many other creatures that would take this position when encountering something they perceive as a threat. Right? This is from the Hongshan culture in China. This is an ancient depiction of Protoceratops with its head down in conflict. What kind of creature is that? Well, it's obviously Protoceratops. And here's an ancient Chinese Shang dynasty from over 1000 BC. Depiction of a dinosaur. Notice the pattern on its skin. Modern scientists have discovered that dinosaurs had patterned skin. Many of them did. They got many of the features of this creature exactly right. This is an ancient, this is on Ontario, Canada. This was when it's from Israel. This is a creature with a giant reptilian head biting a horse at the base of his neck, crippling the animal, making it drop to its knees. What kind of creature ever lived on this earth was big enough to immobilize a horse in this way? Only a dinosaur. So here we have a creature just immobilizing a real horse. So if you're going to say that this creature is mythological, is the horse also mythological? You see my point? That's a real horse, and that's a real dinosaur. On the side of a temple in Cambodia is a Stegosaurus. That same temple has pictures of known extant creatures on it, like crocodiles and birds that are known species. Well, so this one is a known species too. It's called Stegosaurus. Ancient Babylonians depicted them. Giant sauropod dinosaurs with their necks intertwined. Now, atheists and evolutionists love to deny that these are really dinosaurs. They don't want to do that. Of course, we understand why. So I'm going to show you a little something that illustrates their denial and how ridiculous I think that this denial can be. So here's my little cartoon of Freddy the dinosaur taking a nice afternoon stroll. There's little Freddy, and he's wandering around eating some grass, enjoying a sunny afternoon. So let's superimpose Freddy the dinosaur on a rock. Okay, we took away their cartoon in landscape, and we'll put Freddy on a rock. There he is. Everybody can see. Anybody looking at this picture knows that's a dinosaur. We'll call him Freddy. It's obviously a sauropod dinosaur, right? Now let's take away the superimposition and see what the ancient Native Americans drew. Oh, look, they drew Freddy the dinosaur. See, here's Freddy the dinosaur. Nobody would look at that picture and say that's not a sauropod dinosaur. There's Freddy on the rock. Now we take away Freddy, and Freddy is still there. Because that's actually a sauropod dinosaur that the Native Americans drew. And look, they even drew a human being in the picture, too. So, but those people who refuse to believe that man walked with dinosaurs will look at this picture and they'll say, it doesn't look like a sauropod dinosaur. It's something else. But is it really? There's Freddy on the rock, and just Freddy on the rock. So is it a sauropod dinosaur? You betcha it is. It obviously is. Here's a crested sauropod dinosaur, Lusotitan, depicted by the Babylonians. Here's Lusotitan again on a cylinder seal, depicted by the Babylonians. And this is ancient Mesopotamian art, Palestinian art, circa 100 AD. The Greek there says crocodile lizard. It's neither a crocodile, leopard, I'm sorry. It's neither a leopard nor a crocodile. It's a dinosaur. Here's medieval art. You see dragons, right? Notice the baby dragon on the right. What's a dragon? Well, it's man's name for a dinosaur. Medieval art, it abounds. Now, here, the evolutionist atheist will look at this picture and say, the one on the right is from the Paluxy Riverbed in Texas, where they found dinosaur footprints and human footprints in the very same strata. The very same strata, which proves, of course, man walked with dinosaurs. Now, they'll look at these pictures, and there's footprints on the right, which are obviously human in form. And they'll say those are not human footprints. They won't say that sauropod dinosaur track in that same strata is not a dinosaur track, but they'll say that's not a human footprint, it's something else. Really? Well, on the left, you see a human footprint in rock, and that's what scientists, secular scientists, say is a real human footprint. In fact, Per Alberg, his name is at the top of this article. I debated him in a forum about ichthyostega 10, 12 years ago. He acknowledges this is a human foot track. But gee, it's pretty funky looking for a human track, isn't it? But now look at the one on the right. Remarkably human. Isn't it clear that's a human foot track? And the evolutionists will say the one on the right, that's not human. But they'll acknowledge the one on the left is. Something's going on here. It's called denial. So here's photographs of the 1970s when these human foot tracks and dinosaur tracks were found in the same strata. To find the rest of them, they started digging. And they removed entire layers of rock in order to get to them with heavy equipment. And this is what they found. Human footprints and dinosaur footprints in the same tracks, in the very same mudstone. Now, it's impossible unless they dwelt together. You see the dinosaur, three-toed sauropod, three-toed dinosaur, not sauropod, but three-toed dinosaur tracks on the left. Going off to the right are human foot tracks. There they are again. They crossed each other. Human tracks, three-toed dinosaur tracks in the same strata. That means they lived together at the same time. It's been claimed that this was not a human track, it's a dinosaur track that collapsed. But there's a problem with that. You see, these large three-toed dinosaurs didn't have a heel. So if this was a three-toed dinosaur footprint that collapsed to make it look like a human footprint, which is the ridiculous claim that's being made by some, then how come it has elongated heel? Because no three-toed dinosaur had a heel like that. You can see the actual photograph of fossil three-toed dinosaur. They don't have a heel. So this can't be a dinosaur track that collapsed in on itself because it was mud to make it look like it's a three-toed dinosaur track. To make it look like it's a human track. That can't be what happened because dinosaurs like this don't have a heel. So anyway, that's the end of my presentation. I think the evidence is pretty clear. Man walked with dinosaurs. They are described in the Bible. They're described in the legends found in virtually every culture of the ancient world, all throughout the world, just like legends of other things, the flood of Noah, and giants that existed on the earth today, in the past, dinosaurs too. So the evidence is clear from the art that man has created over the centuries, over the millennium, and from the legends of these beasts in all these cultures all around the world, going back to the deepest recesses of human history, man clearly walked with dinosaurs. And that ends my presentation. Thank you.
Neph, appreciate the 12-minute opening statement and appreciate the visuals. So 12 minutes flies by. We're moving into James W. We're moving into your 12-minute opening statement now. And whenever you're ready, James, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Donnie. Thank you for that presentation there, Neph. So did humans and dinosaurs coexist? And of course, the answer is yes, because the overwhelming scientific consensus is that modern birds are dinosaurs because they're descended from dinosaurs, and you cannot outgrow a clade that you belong to. So I know he doesn't agree with that, but from the scientific standpoint, yes, humans coexist with dinosaurs today. But for this debate, we'll be using the colloquial term of dinosaur. So in that case, the answer is a resounding no. So how do we get to this point? How do we get to the point where an intelligent person is arguing for human-dinosaur coexistence? Well, do you remember what you heard when you were a child and the adage that when you start telling lies, what do you have to do? You have to keep telling lies. And those lies, what do they tend to do? They tend to get bigger and more grandiose. So the first lie was that book, the Bible, has any idea about the origin of life, origin of the universe, which it does not. But from that, we have to defend these ridiculous positions like humans must have coexisted with dinosaurs, because obviously the people who wrote that book did not know about they had no idea that there were these large, enormous creatures that lived millions of years before them. They didn't know. So, but yet we read the book that all the dinosaurs or all the animals were on the ark. So of course we must have coexisted with them, even though there's no good evidence that we ever did. We just must have, because that book is always true, right? So how do we know for a fact that humans and dinosaurs did not coexist? Well, because humans from the genus Homo, which encompasses modern humans, the genus Homo sapiens sapiens, but the entire genus Homo emerged less than 3 million years ago. And the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs, which caused the famous Chicxulub crater, which is well known by everybody, that impact occurred about 66 million years ago, which caused the extinction of the dinosaurs not long after that. You have an over 60 million year gap between humans and dinosaurs. So it's absolutely impossible for us to have coexisted with them when they died off millions of years before we even came to the scene. And that's just reality. That's just the facts. So it's impossible. Now, I realize Neph doesn't accept almost anything of what modern science tells us about the modern world. He thinks he knows better because an old book tells him otherwise, and he's arbitrarily chosen to accept that conclusion as absolute truth. I can't fix that, and to me it seems silly, but I can tell you why I don't believe it and why I don't think you should believe it. And what is his evidence? What is he showing? Well, he's got pictures and he's got cave art, and what he's done is he has taken a smattering of the thousands of different examples of cave art that proto-humans and humans made in the caves. And he's found a few of them that he thinks sort of look like dinosaurs. They must be dinosaurs. There you go. What he's done is he's found arrows on the wall, and he's gone to those arrows. He's pointed targets around them, and he's pointing out, hey, look, it's a dinosaur. But it's not. And he's got the burden of proof. So he's making this claim. And he's making an extraordinary claim, and he doesn't have very much evidence to back that up. And on one side, we have everything we know about the modern world, everything science tells us. And then he's telling us something completely different. And all he's got is cave art. I mean, what does it seem more reasonable that his cave art overturns everything we know about the modern world, or he is misinterpreting what he's showing you? He wants it to be something that it just isn't. And like examples of modern art, all art has issues of artistic license and creativity, and you cannot base the existence of a mythological creature or anything really just on the basis of that. We would need something much more empirical. What would you expect to see if humans and dinosaurs coexisted? We would expect to see clear visual depictions of them all over the place. I don't have to show dinosaurs don't exist with humans per se, because he's got the burden of proof. He has to prove that they did. I just have to refute his evidence, but I'm going to actually go through and show you why it's a absolutely ridiculous position. And as of 2006, an article I found, which I can send anybody who wants it, there were 527 distinct genera, not species, genera of dinosaur. And as of 2003, we have been discovering 45 new species of dinosaur per year. Not 45 new dinosaurs, 45 entirely new species of dinosaur. Now, he has a really big problem with that, because he puts all those dinosaurs, all of them, basically on the Earth at the exact same time with human beings. Now, in that environment, you would not have been able to walk 3 feet without bumping into another dinosaur. They literally would have been stacked on top of each other. So for creatures that were so abundant and so prevalent throughout the world, why do we get zero clear depictions of dinosaurs or any credible descriptions of dinosaurs? Were the people just not interested in these amazing creatures that we see and that people are enamored by today because they're so cool and amazing? And we know that throughout the Bible, even animals are very, very, very important in the Bible, because God, who made the universe and life itself, was very important. Animals were very important to him because he had to make a list of all the animals that were good to eat and that were naughty to eat. It was almost as important as who people slept with to God. He had to make an exhaustive list of which animals were okay to eat, not to eat, and therefore we have an exhaustive list of flora and fauna that people encountered in the Bible. We have no clear references to dinosaurs in there. They're just not there. And you can read in the Bible, we have at least 42 examples of goats, 117 examples of bullocks, 44 examples of rams, over 14 examples of pigeons, 44 verses involving snakes. One talking with legs also was a vegetarian. We have donkeys, over 19 verses. One was also talking in that case. And over 100 verses of fish, but we don't see any clear, unambiguous references to the most coolest, badass animals in existence. We just don't see it. He's going to say they were all dragons. Really? Well, the Bible mentions dragons, but never does so in any instance that would indicate they're not imaginary creatures. You never see humans having direct, literal examples with them. And would ancient man have classified such vastly different creatures like Velociraptor and Brontosaurus in the same category? Really? Velociraptor is like 1.5 feet tall. Brontosaurus 30, 40 feet tall. Would we have really lumped all those into the same exact category? It doesn't make sense. We would categorize them differently, just like we do animals today. And we know humans have had mythological beings that have stood the test of time, that ancient man talked about, that we are still enamored with today. Griffins, dragons, minotaurs, unicorns, cyclopses. These are all animals that people find enamoring because they're cool, because their features are cool, not because they were ever real animals. And then we have all manner of depictions of animals from the ancient world. These depictions are clear. They leave no doubt as to what animal the depictor was talking about. But why would man not make numerous depictions of why would they make pictures of the most mundane animals, but not the most coolest animals in existence? And the fact that we can only point to a handful of them is really weak evidence to say that we actually lived with dinosaurs. That he can point to a couple that he thinks look like dinosaurs, but nobody who actually knows anything about the topic would say that those are dinosaurs. And he led off with an example about Marco Polo, who was a famous explorer. There's no doubt about that. But the thing is that no person is perfect. And one person's testimony about things is not very weighty in terms of evidence. And human memories are notoriously not reliable. And no one is immune from embellishing their own accomplishments. And you have to remember, Marco Polo, he was trying to sell books. He was trying to enhance his own notoriety and marketability. So he had motive to possibly embellish about the type of the creatures that he encountered. You ever heard of a fish story where even people who did not catch the fish will kind of get into the story? They remember the fish as being much bigger, but if you actually see the fish, it's not nearly as big as their memory indicates. And the thing is, if Marco Polo really did see dinosaurs in the ancient world in the Middle Ages, then everything else we know about the modern world is wrong. Is the better explanation that maybe he saw a large monitor lizard, Komodo dragons, an alligator, crocodile? These animals would seem bizarre to people who had never been out of mainland Europe, but they're not dinosaurs. In no way are they dinosaurs. And could an explorer, a famous explorer, get something wrong? Well, yes. Well, it's kind of dangerous with NephilimFree to read this, because he might actually think that Christopher Columbus was right. On January 9th, 1493, in Christopher Columbus's log, he recorded that he saw 3 mermaids near the Dominican Republic. Although he said they're not half as beautiful as the depictions of them, but we know that they were not mermaids that Christopher Columbus saw, even though sailors had legends of mermaids and depictions of them. We know that there were not mermaids. Mermaids have never existed. And he mistook them for manatees. So take that for what you will. I don't think he was lying about it. I just think he saw manatees in the distance, said, whoa, what is that? I've never seen that before. But it doesn't look as pretty as the depictions of mermaids were that had been circulating around at the time. So no, there is no evidence that humans coexisted with dinosaurs. We have very vague, very iffy depictions from the ancient world, but nothing clear, nothing credible, nothing to overturn the voluminous evidence that humans have evolved millions of years after dinosaurs went extinct. So thank you.
Okay, just on time, James W. Appreciate the opening statements. Appreciate the opening statements from the both of you, clear and concise. We are now moving into the uninterrupted rebuttals. Looks like we already have a wild chat, and we're not even in the discussion yet, guys. So please, in the chat, that is, make sure you're tagging me with your questions. And I've already got quite a few solid questions coming in, so I do appreciate it. All right, NephilimFree, we're going to hand it over to you now, brother. Just make sure that you unmute yourself, which you just did. Awesome. We have 8 minutes for rebuttals whenever you're ready.
Okay. So my opponent did exactly what I told you he would do. He's going to say those aren't accurate depictions of dinosaurs. They don't really look like dinosaurs. They're just not accurate. And this is what they always do. And were the depictions accurate? I'd say they're quite accurate. They're not perfect, but they're quite accurate. And they're quite obviously dinosaurs. There is no creatures that have ever lived on this earth that look anything like the depictions that ancient mammoths depicted, except dinosaurs. And I remember I showed what 19th century, 19th century scientists thought dinosaurs looked like, and by looking at the fossils, and they got it woefully wrong. And yet ancient man depicted dinosaurs accurately. So to me, this claim, I think it's one of the weakest arguments that somebody who doesn't believe dinosaurs coexisted with man can give, is to say, oh, those aren't accurate depictions of dinosaurs. They clearly look like a dinosaur to anyone. And so he also said, well, Marco Polo may have embellished his story because he was trying to sell books. I hardly believe that. He also said that Marco Polo may have seen monitor lizards or some other creature and thought, and then that's what we're reading about, that he described it. But not according to his description. Monitor lizards aren't so big that they can lay hold of a tiger or a wolf or anything else with their mouth and kill it. I'm sorry, a monitor lizard is just not that big. They're knee high when they're standing upright and running. They're not, they don't have a tail that drags through the ground and leaves a depiction like a large beam being pulled on a chain behind a horse, like Marco Polo described. Monitor lizards don't have a tail like that. So everything Marco Polo said about these creatures describes a dinosaur. It doesn't describe Marco Polo seeing something like a monitor lizard. You've got to be kidding me. Now, excuse me. My opponent also appealed to the imaginary millions of years that his camp believes in, and this claim that dinosaurs evolved from birds evolved from dinosaurs. The truth is, modern science has revealed that fully modern birds coexisted with dinosaurs. See, this is a terrible, terrible kink in the evolution theory. Modern science constantly overthrowing the false ideas given to us by the evolutionists. So I can provide you with science papers on this matter. Modern birds, fully modern birds, coexisted with dinosaurs, and that really hurts the evolution theory because they said that birds didn't exist for tens of millions of years after dinosaurs went extinct. Here are some of the species of fully modern birds that are known to have coexisted with dinosaurs according to the secular camp's own papers: woodpeckers, flamingo, grouse, loon, mousebird, sariema, hummingbird, wren, deer killer, ibis, Austrian songbirds, bellbird, grebe, cuckoo roller, pigeon, egret, parrot, owl, penguin, duck, loon, albatross, cormorant, sandpiper, avocet, and sand grouse. All those modern birds are known to have coexisted with dinosaurs because they've been found in the same fossils of them have been found in the same strata in which they're digging up dinosaurs in the same formation. That means they coexisted with them because they were buried in the same sediments. See, so this is this wrecks evolution theory just one more time. So that takes away my opponent's millions of imaginary years. The idea that we couldn't have coexisted with dinosaurs because they went extinct 65, 60 million years ago, and birds, in his argument for that is, well, birds evolved from dinosaurs and blah, but no, they didn't. They coexisted. We now have proof of that. And the secular camp admits that varieties of all these various modern species of bird that I just described, all of them coexisted with dinosaurs. Yet another failure of this evolution idea in these imaginary millions of years. So just remember this. The depictions of dinosaurs that I provided were remarkably accurate. And my opponent says they're not accurate depictions of dinosaurs. And yet, there they are. Okay, I think I'll call it quits on that for my rebuttal.
All right, appreciate that, Neff. And as we always do, whatever time is not used in openings and rebuttals, we'll toss into the open discussion. So, okay, we're going to hand it over to you, James. You've got up to 8 minutes, and whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Well, right. So what he's saying right there is like when they say if humans evolved from monkeys, why are there still monkeys? Well, it's obvious that humans share a common ancestor with chimpanzees. And yeah, there were some lines of modern birds that did arise at the time when dinosaurs, but they're not the same as modern birds. That's very fallacious when he tries to say that. And like he tries to say that flamingos were around at the time of dinosaurs, but they were not. They were, I think flamingos emerged about 30 million years ago, or anything that would look like a modern flamingo. But even still, they were not still the same as modern birds. Were there bird-like creatures at the time of dinosaurs? Absolutely. And that's no problem because not all dinosaurs evolved into birds. A lot of dinosaurs died off at the Chicxulub impact event at the crater. Most of them died off. There was only this small subset of dinosaurs that had the right body size and adaptations to survive in that world, which is when mammals really came into their own. And, at that time when that crater hit, the only ancestor of mammals was a tiny shrew-like ancestor that emerged out of the ground to look up and see the destruction that emerged to eventually conquer the world, which is our ancestor. And I know he has his mythology and he dismisses all that, but that's what the reality tells us. And it's an amazing story that he is missing out on. And so he points out these dinosaur tracks, and he talks a lot about those. And the question is that if humans were with dinosaurs all the time, why do we have just this one example in Texas of all places, right? The world is so big. Texas of all places, we just have this one example when anybody who knows anything about the topic who's looked at it said, no, they're not nobody admits that they're not dinosaur footprints. They are definitely dinosaur footprints, but whatever they're claiming is human footprints are not human footprints. Even if it superficially looks like a human footprint, there are things that look like things that they are not. I know that may be a revolutionary concept to some people, but there are some things that look like things, but they are not those things. And you would only get to this line of logic if you started with, which he does start with, the idea that this Bible is absolutely true. So therefore, humans must have lived with dinosaurs. So therefore, those must be human tracks. When anybody who knows anything about the subject has looked at those and said, no, they're not human tracks. They're clearly dinosaur tracks, but they're definitely not human tracks. And there's so many problems with those. And I get it. It's all they have. It's all they have. They don't have really a lot to talk about. And yeah, the millions of years, we obviously have that. And I understand he doesn't agree with the radiometric dating and the numerous methods that we have done to confirm beyond a reasonable doubt that the world is not just millions, but billions of years old. And I realize that the writers of the Bible, they didn't know anything about that. They didn't know the world was that old. I also realize that the writers of the Bible didn't know anything about diversity of life on Earth. They didn't realize about evolution, which is why today we look back at a silly story like Noah's Ark, which is patently absurd, which I'll be debating in about a week and a half on this channel. And they need evolution to be true because they rely on it for that story, because they couldn't take care of nearly that many animals on the ark. But they also can't account for the diversity of life on Earth. And the problem for that, one of the biggest problems with that story, is that we know that animals in the ancient world looked very remarkably similar to the way they do today. Tigers were clearly tigers. Lions were clearly tigers. Animals that look like today looked exactly or very similar in the ancient world. But what he's proposing is that animals came off this ark and then within maybe 100 years rapidly diversified. You had a tiger go from, or you had a proto-cat go from lion, tiger, cheetah, bobcat, jaguar, all in 100 years, and then it stopped after that. But that's not how evolution works. Evolution works on a much longer time scale. He doesn't have that time scale, so he's got to make it work with what he has. I understand that, but it's just not concordant with reality. And that's the unfortunate thing about these religious beliefs, is that I understand the appeal to them. I understand why you would want to think that they're true and the promises that they make and the hope that it gives people, but unfortunately it's just not based in reality. And when you come over and you accept that, then all these fantasies fly by the wayside, which unfortunately we see here in this case, is that he has very little evidence, but he's got to make this case that this has to be true. And he's doing a valiant effort at it. He's done it for almost 20 years online. He is really good at it, but he just doesn't have much to work with. So I appreciate his zeal and his valor for it, but unfortunately he doesn't have much to bring to the table. Thank you.
Okay, James W., thank you so much for the rebuttal. That concludes the 8-minute rebuttals from Neff and James W. I'll give you guys just a 25-second break here while I do just a couple announcements to remind everybody that the Evolution Debate Challenge series does continue over the next week or two. We got several big, exciting debates. Evolution on Trial, Atheist Jr. and Dr. Dino. That is next week. We've got Endgame, Wade the Wizard, and Dr. Dino as well. And, of course, Snake was right. Dr. Dino, transitional fossils. Do transitional fossils exist? Okay, so with that being
fired up for that Atheist Junior debate, I have to say. I am fired up for that. That's going to be an awesome debate. You're fortunate to have that on the channel, Donnie. That will be epic.
That will be epic. And looking at the date currently, that is in like 4 days. So I'm pumped for that one. Guys, make sure you hit the notification bell. You don't want to miss that epic showdown. So, okay, we're moving into everybody's favorite part of a debate. We're moving into the open discussion. We've got 30 minutes on the clock. I'll be saving questions as NephilimFree and James W. debate this important topic. James, you just ended with your rebuttal. So, Neff, why don't we hand it over to you? We'll start, with your first couple points, first question, however you'd like to proceed. And we'll go from there, guys. Let's try and keep it free-flowing and organic. So the floor is yours, gentlemen.
Neff,
can you hear us at all?
are you with us now?
Hey, oh, okay, yeah, there. My headset was muted. Sorry. So, James, I'll let you in on a little secret. 20th century science destroyed evolution theory. It doesn't exist anymore. So, and one of the discoveries that fit.
I'm sorry, I'm not.
This. Yeah, one of the discoveries that proved this was we now know today that DNA is a four-dimensional package of strand hopping, self-correcting, forward and reverse reading, prescriptive functional information that operates linguistically and algorithmically, possessing human language properties of semiotics, phonetics, semantics, punctuation, syntax, grammar, apologetics, and operates with algorithms. And you see, those things, algorithms, semantics, semiotics of linguistics, and prescriptive functional information can only be produced by an intelligence. Nature can't, chemistry can't do it. So the evolution theory has been taken away from you. But what I would like to
say that, Neff. Only you say that, and if you want to come back,
no, not only
you want to have a debate. Basically only you. Most of the scientific community
there are
doesn't
thousands
agree
of
with
people.
anything. Most of the scientific community doesn't agree with literally
care about
anything
that.
you said. I know you don't care about it because you
Right.
you believe what you want to believe, and you've arbitrarily chosen to
I
believe
the
it.
science.
No,
see,
you
that
don't.
is science.
You,
what I
you,
just told
you
you
believe a very minority view of what scientists say.
Wait, so
what
wait,
you
are you saying that
rejected by
DNA
99% of science?
Are you saying that DNA is not prescriptive functional information? That it doesn't operate algorithmically?
Well, I don't know. This is not a debate on DNA. We're not here to talk about evolution, creation. I'm not a genetics guy, but no, DNA is not information in the sense that you are trying to make it be information. DNA is a chemical. It's a chemical. That's what it is in its essence.
It
operates through chemical reactions, obeying the laws of physics. That's what it is. Nothing in DNA contravenes the laws of physics. So if it doesn't require any magic to make it work, why would we think it requires magic for it to be started?
Well, I'll just share this with you. It's published in the science papers that DNA is algorithmic. It does possess linguistics properties, and it is prescriptive functional information. It's another overturn for evolution. You see, evolution is a dead science. It's a myth from the 19th century. And you don't have it to hide behind anymore. So, tell me, I would like for you to repeat this absurdity that the depictions that I provided of dinosaurs are not actually dinosaurs. Can you explain to us what they're not accurate at all? I just want the audience to hear you say that they don't look anything like dinosaurs, right?
I could show you numerous examples of modern art depictions that don't resemble anything. Now, if we found something a million years from now that kind of looked like it, would that mean we had a time portal to the future? No. We don't know what the artist was thinking. We don't know what these depictions are. A lot of times they are misidentifications. They are other animals that kind of look like dinosaurs. But I mean, just imagine this, Neff. You have kind of. Not exactly. Kind of. Just kind of, Neff.
Not even.
But imagine this: you have four legs, a tail, a neck, and a head. I mean, have you ever seen any other animal on Earth that has that body pattern? Where would they have ever gotten the idea, Neff, that an animal might have four legs, a tail, a neck, and a head? I mean, they must have. Modern science must fall apart because they drew something that looks like that. There are numerous examples of animals that look like that on Earth that they could have been.
I think the depictions that I provided demonstrate the clear denialism. What you're saying, you just say four legs. Where would they've gotten the idea? Four legs, a head, and a neck.
Yeah,
that's not what's depicted. What's depicted is a large sauropod dinosaur. It's quite obvious, and even protoceratops. But you're going to say that's not so. Now, you appealed also to for your imaginary millions of years. You said birds. It's not true that birds coexisted with dinosaurs, but they did. The paper I refer you to is Whole Genome Analysis: Resolve Early Branches in the Tree of Life of Modern Birds, published at sciencemag.org. Okay, so
Is that from
it's true.
Band?
It's
Birds Are
true.
Not
So
Dinosaurs, the org?
it is true that modern varieties of these very same species of birds that I described, I mentioned, did coexist with dinosaurs. So, you have to remember those, put things in perspective. The evolutionists were telling the world for the last 150 years that birds didn't even exist until tens of millions of years after dinosaurs went extinct. That's been overturned. We know that they coexisted with the dinosaurs in the alleged quote unquote Cretaceous. So you're exactly wrong on
Well,
that.
yeah,
Okay.
what you're operating off of is an outdated model of how
No, it's a
evolution
science
and
paper
holistic.
that's only a few
No,
years old. And this is new
and
science.
I'm sure that 99% of science doesn't believe what you're extrapolating from that, because you could look, Neff, and you could see that most modern scientists still are fully on
What?
board with the birds are dinosaurs hypothesis. That has not been overturned.
Oh
I
my
haven't
goodness.
seen your paper, so whatever paper you're referring to, either it's quack or it doesn't suggest what you're suggesting it says. And that's where we get from the consensus. Why would we look to the people who don't know
Yeah, I'm
much
sharing
about
it
the
on the
topic,
screen.
like you and me, versus the people who do know about the topic, and the people who do know about the topic say that what
Yeah.
you're saying is wrong?
Well, I'm showing it to you on the screen. I know you're going to deny. You're in denial mode, or you have to be. But this science paper states that varieties. This article states that the varieties of the exact same type, just like we have varieties of dog. A
Sure.
chocolate lab. Let me explain a little. A chocolate lab is a dog, right? A collie is a dog, right? They're different, right? But there's obviously an American bulldog is a dog, right? They're obviously dog. They're varieties of dog. And guess what they found is varieties of all those species of birds that I mentioned coexisted with dinosaurs. And that's what
But
this paper and others like it state. So you're wrong here. The birds did coexist with dinosaurs. It
they did. Yeah,
overthrows.
they
Yeah, it
did. They did.
overthrows.
They
It
did.
overthrows what
Some
the evolution story. It's gone. It's dead. So
some dinosaurs, they coexisted with some, not all dinosaurs. So that's like saying if monkeys evolved from if humans evolved from monkeys, why are there still monkeys? Because we didn't evolve. It's not like a linear, like monkeys they die out than humans. No, it's that the sauropod dinosaurs had a branch, and that branch evolved into birds. It's not that
how
hard
could
to
that be
understand.
when those birds coexisted with dinosaurs in the Cretaceous? What?
Because things branch off in an evolutionary tree, Neff. It doesn't work like one branch stops and the other takes over. It's
They
not a linear
coexisted in
progression.
the Cretaceous with dinosaurs.
Sure,
If they
maybe they
existed
did.
in the Cretaceous, they existed at the same time all Cretaceous dinosaurs existed. They coexisted with them, right? So that's just the evidence.
But
The old story the
you're
evolutionists told us,
you're
the
using
dinosaurs didn't exist
Cretaceous, which was
for tens of millions of years
when
after
was the
the dinosaurs
Cretaceous
went extinct.
period, Neff?
It's
That
not. It's
was
not true.
what, 100 million years ago, and
It, it, it,
you're
it's not
using
true.
scientific terminology like Cretaceous, but you don't even believe in the Cretaceous. You believe the Cretaceous under
I'm
your
just.
model was like a 20-minute period of time, because you think it was like a day or a week. I
I'm
mean,
just pointing out that your statement is wrong. These birds did
no,
coexist with dinosaurs. You
it
don't want to
doesn't
believe that. I
matter if they
know.
coexisted with some
It
dinosaurs.
does.
It's not that all dinosaurs turned into birds. Some of them died off at the crater, at the Chicxulub Big crater when that happened.
Why
Some
this
of
is
the
important,
lineages.
James, is this. It's important because it's just another example of why your imaginary millions of years between man and dinosaur, they don't exist. It's just another science discovery that's overthrown this mythological millions of years that you guys believe in. That you think separates humans from dinosaurs. You see, the idea, we've been told for 150 years, the evolutionists from the 1800s, remember those guys? They told us birds died when it came into being tens of millions
And
of years after the dinosaurs went extinct. Well, we know they were wrong about that today,
well,
right? And
I, I, I'm
That's just
Go
an
ahead, finish
example
your
of
point.
all of your millions of years, no matter what argument you make, they're all imaginary, just like the imaginary idea that birds didn't exist with dinosaurs. See,
Only in your mind are they imaginary enough. Only in your mind, in the mind of young Earth creationists. Look, when did Darwin write his book in the 1850s? Look,
right.
he didn't know a lot, but he still got a lot right, and we are still learning more and more. Look, on your end, you guys are still debating theology, and your thing has only been around for a couple thousand years, and you guys don't have everything right there either. So,
Oh, of course,
look,
you got it.
there
Right.
are still lots of things to work out about the mechanisms of evolution, how it works, exactly which animals evolved when, and that's true. And science is working on that right now. They are in the laboratories, in the field, working on it. You're just trying to say it's all BS because you have a book from the Iron Age that says everything lived at the same time, and you've arbitrarily chosen to believe that's absolute truth when I assume you would even admit that you have to take that on faith. You have no evidence of that's true. The core claims that it makes, and yet you choose to believe it. And you have to come make these arguments that everything we know about the modern world is not true.
Yeah. So, it's just another example, that millions of years don't exist. That's all, James. I'm trying to share something on the screen with you right now. I want you to tell us again, these are not, accurate depictions. Go on. Tell us that doesn't look like a sauropod dinosaur. Go on.
Vaguely, but I
Vaguely.
mean, vaguely, Neff.
Vaguely.
But I mean, why would we look at that?
Vaguely.
I get it, the cartoons, but
that doesn't look like Lusotitan with the crested skull. That doesn't look anything like a Lusotitan, right?
And Neff, why would we expect those dinosaurs to be lined up like that with their necks intertwined? Obviously, Neff, this drawing is hyperbolic. Maybe
that's the point. Sure, artistic license has been used.
It's hyperbolic with artistic license. Yeah.
Sure, there's artistic license in the drawing of them with their heads entwined. But, if they fought each other, they may have done that for all we know, but probably not. But nonetheless, just going to tell us again, that doesn't look anything like Lusotitan. It just can't be Lusotitan, right?
It can't
be because
Lusotitan went extinct millions of
because
years
of your imaginary millions of years.
Well, only you think it's imaginary, Neff. Only the people who don't know what they're talking about think it's imaginary. That's the thing. The people who have degrees and who have investigated the field. Well, it's funny you say
Protoceratops.
It's funny you say Protoceratops because I mean, obviously, Triceratops would be but Triceratops would have horns on it. So but that evolved probably for Proceratops. So you're borrowing from evolution.
No, that's your belief system.
You're borrowing from evolution by using the idea
you believe everything.
Protoceratops.
That's just the name of it.
It couldn't be Triceratops because obviously, if it was, it would have 3 horns that would poke out from its shield there, but it doesn't.
It's you guys that named it Protoceratops because of your fake belief in evolution. But go on and tell us that doesn't look anything like Protoceratops. It's just all they drew something from their imagination. Oh, it just happens to look an awful lot like Protoceratops. What a coincidence, right?
I mean, vaguely.
It's all coincidence, right?
Things that I could show you things that from ancient art that look like. Basically, yes. That look like nothing like anything we've ever seen before. People use those cave art to make things about ancient aliens, which you may believe in that. You may believe that demons came down to visit humans in the guise of aliens.
Well, I have my beliefs. You believe, that dirt, a cosmic dot blew up and Beethoven and space probes and Michelangelo came out of it. See, I believe in the Big Bang. I could ridicule your beliefs too. That undirected natural processes produce Beethoven.
And that's all the evidence that we have. Unfortunately, Neff, is evidence. That's all the evidence that we have is natural processes. So the laws of physics acting on matter and energy is all we see today. It's all we've ever seen. We have no evidence of anything else happening ever.
Oh, sure. We
Ever.
got lots of miracles people have witnessed. I've seen one. So if we only have natural processes, then go on, James. Tell us how natural processes can produce prescriptive functional information,
I'm
algorithms,
not
and
a
semiotics of linguistics.
well.
Can
It's
that
funny you
happen?
mentioned.
Can
Yeah,
undirected,
can
unintelligent
I tell
processes?
you how a biogenesis happened? No, I'm not a
No, I'm
biologist.
not
I'm not
asking
a
you for that.
physicist.
I'm asking you, can natural process, undirected chemistry, is it capable of producing prescriptive functional information algorithms and semiotics?
Apparently so, because we exist,
Yes.
right? We do
Oh,
exist, right? So
has to been able to
apparently
do that.
it must have happened somehow. The fact that we haven't answered it yet is not license. That's not license for you to
Well, let me give you
interject
a shocker.
fantasy
The thing is,
into reality.
well, here's the shocker, James. It can't, because forward thinking is required for this to happen, and there's no such thing as that in chemistry. Forward thinking to prescribe a series of operations and thinking about the future and prescribing operations to achieve a goal. That's a mental process, not a chemical one. And
Okay,
that's
let me
what
jump in here, guys. I'm just going to jump in here real quick. Great discussion so far. I do want to make sure that we're really on the topic of dinosaurs and man.
Yeah.
Appreciate this, specific topic. Definitely important. Let's do this. Since Neff started with the open discussion, let's be fair, James. If you can pick out 1 point out of Neff's opening and rebuttal, I guess, in terms of the dinosaurs and man topic, something that maybe you disagree with, and let's now engage that one for a little while. Go ahead.
I mean, I just think it's ridiculous that he's appealing to these ancient art things, and that he is, and unfortunately, it has to tie into everything else, because he is appealing to these because he doesn't have anything else to show that the existence of dinosaurs is valid. When Neff, we have examples, tons of examples of animals from the ancient world that were depicted clearly, very clearly, in their modern form. Why don't we have that with dinosaurs? Why don't we have a clear, unambiguous depiction?
Go ahead.
That's
Neff.
the thing, we do. And I've given them to you. And all you can do is deny them, right? You have to say, oh, that doesn't look, you say, it's just maybe in the slightest way that might look like a sauropod dinosaur. Oh, and that just kind of looks like one, it's obvious denial, James. You just don't know what to do, but you have to deny. And so, I mean, what do you do with this? Man has always described these enormous beasts. He's always depicted them while depicting known species of real creatures like camels and horses and mules and dogs and wolves and tigers and stuff and leopards and lions. He's also, alongside those depictions, oh, lo and behold, it looks like a dinosaur. But all you can do is deny that it's a dinosaur.
So
You have
the
to.
biggest, most coolest animals in existence, and we just get a couple very vague depictions of them when we have numerous depictions of very mundane animals that people like. How many Bible verses do we have on goats? You have a plethora of Bible verses about goats, about bullocks, because these were integral to the sacrificial system that your God was setting up. He never decided to mention dinosaurs because he didn't know they existed, because the people who made that God up didn't know that they existed, because they lived millions of years after they evolved. They didn't know anything about them. And you have to try and cobble together a few examples that you're saying that they were. But I think if what you're saying were reality, we would see clear, unambiguous examples. Like if you look at a tiger from the ancient world depicted, you look at that, it's a tiger. Nobody can deny it. You look at a lion, a ram depicted, even before your mythical flood took place, we have depictions of rams that look exactly like rams do today. And we just don't have anything like that for the dinosaurs that you're supposedly saying existed with humans.
Except Freddy the dinosaur. He's a real stickler, isn't he? He just looks, anything like. You say they don't look anything like. That's what we have to hear. I know you have to misrepresent the facts in order to hold to this, because it's a worldview destroyer, But you say they don't look anything like real dinosaurs, but the truth is they really, really do. They really do. And anybody, a child, If you showed these depictions that I provided to even a fourth grade child, a third grade child, and said, "What kind of animal is this?" You know, they're going to say, "That's a dinosaur." They will do that. In fact, I
Neff,
challenge anybody to do that very thing. Get a dozen of these pictures of ancient man's depictions of dinosaurs, print them on your computer, and then take them to a third grade classroom and ask the kids, "What kind of creature is this?" They're going to tell you it's a dinosaur.
but Neff, why would we ask small children about these animals? Why would we do that when we can ask expert people who have gone to school, people who have worked in the field for decades, and they look at what you're showing and they say, no, this is not evidence that humans coexisted with dinosaurs. But
Well,
what we should do, what you're saying, what you said we should do is ask a bunch of small children what they think it looks like. And here's the thing. Here's the thing is that even if, let's grant you, I just don't want to believe your God exists because I just don't want to follow his rules. I'm a bad person. I just want to sin. And but what would a human dinosaur coexist? What would that mean for me? Okay, so your Bible got one thing right. Okay, humans coexisted with dinosaurs. So what? Doesn't prove you're God. There would be no reason for us to deny that if it were true. The only reason we deny it, Neff, is that there is such an overwhelming preponderance of evidence like radiometric dating, which I get it. I know you don't think it's real. You have to think it's not real, but we cross-confirm these dates through multiple different methods to weed out any possible irregularities or errors with these methods of dating, and they all confirm billions of years. And I get it. No, they didn't know anything about that when they were writing the Bible and these mythical genealogy. They didn't know about any of that. So they felt they had to have a beginning narrative because all the other religions had one too. So they had to have one also.
The dating methods don't help you. There's all kinds of issues with that.
We
could talk about that. You know, dating methods like dating materials that were known to have been produced by geologic processes in 1986 date millions of years old, right? So, I mean, come on. There's a lot to talk about there. If you want to debate that subject another time, I'd be happy to do that for you. I'll give you a wrecking ball on that one. But the depictions, I think, is the real door slammer here. As I said, if you printed these on a computer and showed them to small kids and asked them, "What kind of creature is this?" they're all going to say, "That's obviously a dinosaur." The only people that won't, James, are people who are atheists or ardent evolutionists. The only ones that won't are people who refuse to accept the evidence because they can't, because it destroys their entire worldview if man coexists with dinosaurs. Those are the only ones that are going to look at these images and say, it doesn't look enough like a dinosaur, but yet a third grade kid will tell you that's clearly a dinosaur. There's something going on there. See, it's a big disconnect. And the reality is that man walked with dinosaurs because that's why he depicted them so many times in the past and has legends all over the world of them. It's because we really did coexist with them, just like we have depictions of camels and horses and the lizards and birds in the past, because they also coexisted with man. Yeah. That's why we drew them too. See,
but I mean, Neff, dragons, coincidentally, they always have wings and fly. They universally have wings and fly. But what you're saying, I get that you.
Well, we know that pterosaurs did exist. You know,
yeah, absolutely.
Pterosaurs were a real thing.
They certainly were. But
that's right.
They did not have wings, and they did not fly.
Pterosaurs had wings.
I know. Well, the sauropods that evolved into birds had wings, but
pterosaurs had wings and flew.
But you're trying to say that all pterosaurs. But you're trying to say all.
Sure.
You're trying to lump all dinosaurs into one small category.
Were pterosaurs dinosaurs?
All dragons. Well,
were pterosaurs dinosaurs? Okay. There's your dragon.
Brontosaurus dinosaurs. Were all Tyrannosaurus Rex's dinosaurs. Were Triceratops dinosaurs.
Right. We got depictions of them too.
Yeah. But you're trying to say they were all considered dragons. But dragons universally have wings. Yeah,
Right.
ask
So
anybody.
the term dragon
Every,
simply refers to a dinosaur.
but
A
they all have
pterosaur.
wings, Neff. They all have
Well,
wings.
was pterosaurs dinosaurs? Yeah,
Yeah,
were
but
dinosaurs.
where?
T-Rex and
But you're
Allosaurus, they were
you're
also
just picking a
dinosaurs, right?
small
Right.
sampling of
So
dinosaurs
if we swap the word
and saying
dinosaur with dragon, okay,
they
it works.
all.
Do you see?
It does not work, Neff, because you're taking like 10% of dinosaurs and saying we only have legends of this one type, but they all lived all at the same time, Neff.
No, we
All
don't
at the
have
same
legends
time.
of one type. What are you talking about? Oh, I see. You aren't very informed on this subject at all. Ancient men also depicted pterosaurs, and they have legends of them too. It's not just
Ancient
one
Man
type
has
of
lots of
dinosaur.
legends, Neff,
I
of
showed
things
you
that don't.
I
Ancient,
showed you Edmontosaurus. I showed you
you showed
Protoceratops.
me. You showed me
I showed you
Edmontosaurus with your
also
with your
creatures.
pointless
I showed you
commentary
also.
about how it would have
I showed
stood
you.
up when it
I
was
showed you
defending
also.
itself.
I showed you
But you
also
have no
creatures
knowledge
that
of that,
look
Neff.
like Allosaurus T-Rex, and also giant sauropod dinosaurs also. So if you take the word dragon, if a dragon, if we take the word dinosaur, a pterosaur is is a dinosaur. Allosaurus is a dinosaur. Okay, both are dinosaurs. Now let's just replace the word dinosaur with dragon. Pterosaurs are dragons.
Did Edmontosaurus have
Allosaur is
wings or breathe
also a
fire?
dragon. He's
You
also a
probably think it
dragon.
did breathe
Right?
fire. You
They're
probably
both
think it did breathe fire,
they're
right?
both dinosaurs,
Do you
and
believe
dragon is
Edmontosaurus breathed
simply a word
fire?
that means
Did it breathe fire,
dinosaur.
Neff? Did it breathe fire?
Are you not,
Edmontosaurus?
James? You're not understanding what I'm saying, really?
I
Let me
understand
go
what
through
you're
it.
saying. You're
Do you?
trying to make it sound like these
Do you?
legends
Do you really
apply to
understand?
reality, and they don't,
Wait,
Neff.
wait.
Like,
I'm not sure you do understand. I said let's take the word dinosaur and we can use that to describe a pterosaur. It's a dinosaur, right? Allosaurus is also a dinosaur, right? Now, if we swap the word dragon, it, a pterosaur can be a dragon, okay? But so can an Allosaurus, right? It's just a name. It doesn't.
but dragons always breathe
The
fire and
word
always
dragon.
fly.
No, dragons always don't. No, that's not
That,
true.
that's
Okay,
that's the
it's just
definition
a
of a
word that
dragon.
means. It's just a word
So
that means a
so they had
dinosaur
one word
creature.
for look at like Velociraptor, Neff, that could barely bite your ankle, right? It was like a foot and a half tall. And look at like Brontosaurus, which would be like 50 feet tall. And
What you're
you're
saying
saying
is
they
a
had
nonsense
one
argument.
word to classify both. They were both dragons, right?
No, I'm
Does
just
that
saying the
make
word was
sense?
used to describe a variety of these creatures, not just creatures with
A
wings.
whole swath of these creatures, and they were
Yes,
all considered dragons.
they were.
That's crazy, Neff.
Well, no.
That's
Let me point out how crazy that's not, because
that's
there are
crazy.
medieval. No, that's not really. You're uninformed, James. In the Middle Ages, there are a number of records of men encountering giant, large lizards, not as big as the dinosaurs that we know of, but lizards
Yeah.
that were uncommon to Europe. Right, these were European men, and
Komodo dragons.
they encountered lizards that were as big as a monitor lizard. Right, that's not
Yeah.
common. They didn't know about these creatures. They're not common to Europe, and you know what they called them? Dragons. They don't have
Yeah.
wings, and they called them a dragon. So you see, you're just
You
not
know what else
really
was
on
common in
board
the
with
Middle
what's going
Ages,
on
Neff?
here. Okay?
You know what else was common in the Middle Ages,
You
Neff?
see what I'm
And
saying?
you know what else was common there? The Christians in the Middle Ages used to claim that their saints could fly around cathedrals. Look it up, Neff. Flying
People used
saints.
to
They
believe
used to
evolution
claim.
too.
Well, they
You know,
still do. And 100
we,
years from now, Neff, 100 years from now, Neff, evolution will still be taught in every respected academic institution.
no, it will be
There
gone.
there will still be no sign of Jesus coming in the clouds, coming back, because he never came to begin with. He's not coming back, Neff. I'm sorry,
No,
Neff. I hate to
I'm
I
sorry,
hate
but
to
that's
break it
just
to you.
ridiculous. In 100 years, evolution will have been expunged from the curriculum at university.
Only in your mind, Neff.
No, it
Only
will.
in your mind.
There's a change.
Scientists are going out and learning how it works. They're not trying
James,
to overthrow it because
it's
it's reality.
dying. It's dying because of the discoveries of modern science.
Only in
And
your
I gave you
mind,
one of
Neff.
those that science has discovered that DNA is a four-dimensional package of prescriptive functional information that operates linguistically and
You,
semiotically. And that's one of the things that killed evolution. In 1980, the biggest
yeah,
evolutionary scientists of our time convened at a conference in Chicago. At Chicago University. And you know what the subject was? It was macroevolution. Can microevolutionary changes be extrapolated to show that macroevolutionary changes occur? And you know what the consensus opinion of
what
almost
was the
every man in that
consensus,
room
Neff?
was? No. That was
If that
the
was the
consensus.
consensus,
That was
they were
1980. See,
they
and
were
and
dead wrong. If that was
well,
the consensus, and I doubt
that's what the
that's the
evolution
consensus
scientists
of it.
themselves
I
convened.
highly doubt that, Neff, because
Well, okay.
look,
Do you
we have a
believe
perfect example. Look, I can give you a perfect example
it's
of
called
this,
the
Neff.
Chicago
Like, look,
Conference? This is not secret knowledge. Okay.
no, look how does small scale change happen over long periods of time when it's imperceptible in the small term? Look at language evolution, Neff. You can look at an English paper from 1,000 years ago, and you will not be able to read it. At no point did Old English become modern English. It evolved very slowly. Over one day to the next, there was no great variance in the
Yeah.
language. But
That's your
over
myth.
time, that's reality, Neff.
No,
That
that's a
is
myth.
how evolution happens. It's the same way languages evolve. It's the same way life evolves.
No,
It happens.
it's your myth. That's what you
It's
want to
not.
believe in, though.
It's reality, though. You see it in how it works in language. You know that that Spanish and Italian came from Latin, but there was no first speaker of Spanish. There was no parents who spoke Latin who gave birth to Spanish and Italian speaking kids. It happened very slowly over a long period of time where you could never pick out the precise point where it changed. But looking at it at the macro scale, it's clear and obvious that there's very big differences, and that's how life evolves. That's how language
It's pure
evolves.
mythology. It's a myth.
That's reality. It's
It's
reality.
been overthrown. Let me give you another example. Firstly, the Chicago Conference, Richard Lewontin, the famous evolutionary biologist turned science writer, he attended that conference in Chicago, and he says that at the risk of doing damage to some of the men in this and attended the conference, he said the overall overwhelming opinion of the men in that room was the answer is no.
Well,
okay, so you're wrong. Exactly.
I don't know about that conference.
Let me give you.
I don't know about him.
I'll give you
but-
another example how
Okay.
this
All
worldview
right.
of this is
Fire
dying.
away.
See, in
Go ahead.
2010 or 11, a group of a very large group of intelligent design proponents, academics, convened to give a symposium, and on the campground on the campus of Cornell University. And it was about the biological information, the origin of the information that drives life, the biological information. Those
Yeah.
scientists who gave those lectures all were pointing to the fact that intelligence is required to have created it, that the evolution theory is a dead idea because life is designed, and we know it because of the information package properties of DNA. And the point of this is this: 10 years before that conference could not have taken place. Remember, this was held on the campus of Cornell University, a highly
Right.
prestigious,
Very highly. Very prestigious.
secular university.
Very
Right?
secular.
And they allowed a group of intelligent design eggheads to give a symposium on how intelligent design is verified by the existence of genetic information.
And
that
you know why, Neff? Why would they do
couldn't have
that?
happened 10 years before. And what I'm pointing
Why
out,
would they do that, Neff?
and what it indicates is there is a change in the wind. You see, evolution theory is dying, intelligent design is taking over.
Neff.
In 100
Neff,
years, there won't be any talk about your
No.
Okay, let me
Neff,
jump in real quick, James. Take as much time as you need to respond, and then if there's any final points that you gentlemen want to discuss on the dinosaurs and man topic, like I think dinosaur footprints were brought up in the opening, or the possibility of a brief portion on dinosaur soft tissue, or we could just go into the closing statements. Totally up to you guys. Just want to make sure that we're dealing with all the points related to the topic. James W., go ahead, and then we'll move forward.
I would just say, Neff, that the fact that a secular, prestigious university could have a conference like that if they did. I don't know. I haven't looked into that, but whatever. Assuming, taking it on its face, is that the fact that we're not afraid of data and evidence on the secular side. Bring it on. Bring us your data. Bring us your evidence. Tell us what you have. Because you know what? Every single time you guys have brought forth an idea, it's lost. And evolution keeps chugging right along. Look at like the Kitzmiller versus Dover case, where they tried to bring intelligent design. They tried to bring irreducible complexity into a court of law, and a judge who was a theist smacked it down and said, no, that's not science. And Darwinism wins out. It wins out in the end. It always does, because unfortunately for you, it's concordant with reality. It just is reality, as painful as that is for you to hear. And you can move on, Donny, if you're ready.
Okay, Jen. So we do have a ton of audience questions. So we can either go into closing statements, or Neff, if there was one final point you wanted to bring up in order to, demonstrate the affirmative dinosaurs and man. It's totally up to you. I want to make sure that we've had a chance to discuss all the major points in the openings.
Yeah.
Neff, what do you feel, brother?
Okay, well, I'll just say the depictions that ancient man made of dinosaurs, the legends that man had of dinosaurs, all around the world, the accurate depictions of dinosaurs, I think demonstrates quite clearly that man did walk with dinosaurs. The footprints found in Biloxi, Texas, verify it conclusively. Human footprints and dinosaur tracks in the very same mudstone, sedimentary rock, which is impossible if man didn't coexist with dinosaurs. The idea that man did not exist with dinosaurs is based on a myth. That myth is called evolution theory. It was put forth in the 1800s when man knew diddly beans about biology. Nothing. Not one thing. It was born out of a religious adherence to a philosophical materialist worldview of God denialists, and it's been overturned. It'll be gone from academia in 100 years, possibly 125. And his idea that dinosaurs didn't exist with man is based on his worldview, not science. Science supports my claims. So just keep in mind, when you look at these depictions of dinosaurs, tell yourself...
Is this your concluding statement, Neff? I'm not sure.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I wasn't sure.
Concluding, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we're going to treat this as a concluding, I wasn't sure if that's what we were doing. I was wondering if we're going to do one final point.
Well, I thought that's what we were doing. I'm sorry. But yeah, I'll consider that my
conclusion. Take as much time as you need, Neff. That's fine.
Okay, Neff,
go ahead.
Okay, give me 60 more seconds.
Wait. I just want to keep this structured. So, the discussion's over. Now we're doing concluding statements. So, Neff, go ahead. We'll consider everything you've said now, the first couple minutes of your concluding statement. And go ahead. Take as much time as you need. Then we'll do the same thing for James. Go ahead.
Okay. I only need a minute or two, 2 minutes maybe, I think. So just remember to look at those depictions and remember that you could show them to small children and they would clearly say they're dinosaurs. But the atheist can't do that. No, that can't be a dinosaur. No, they have to deny that that's a dinosaur. So, because if it's true that humans and dinosaurs coexisted, their whole worldview is shot. It's gone. Everything they believe is over with. It's dead. Their whole worldview crumbles and they melt. They just melt like the Wicked Witch of the West with reality, a bucket of reality tossed on them. They just melt, right? The screaming bloody murder as they go to the ground. That's what it is. This is. It's a worldview that's been challenged by the history of mankind, in which has been recorded that man did coexist with these creatures. The evidence of it is clear. There's more than enough art that man has depicted these creatures, along with known species of other extant creatures like camels, horses, birds, and lions, leopards, right? But also, gee, what do you know? Dinosaurs, right? Because they really are dinosaurs. And so I'll also say that the science paper that I provided speaks of birds coexisting with dinosaurs. Now, the evolutionists that wrote that, they don't think that the cormorants or the owls that existed at that time are exactly like the owls that exist today, because they believe in evolution. But they're clearly an owl Just like we have varieties of owl today. There's the great white owl, there's the barn owl. There's various owls. They come in variety of sizes and even a little bit different shapes and such, right? That's no different. In the past, they had loons, cormorants, sandpipers, penguins, uh, uh, avocets, flamingos. These creatures did coexist with dinosaurs. And it's just another example of how this mythological evolutionist atheist worldview has died because of the continuing discoveries of modern science. Right? And so I think it's clear that man coexisted with dinosaurs because of the evidence, the depictions that man has created of them by themselves, I think verify that for us quite conclusively. And so it's really what it boils down to is true history and science versus an atheistic worldview. And unfortunately for them, that's been their worldview has been destroyed by the discoveries of modern science. I'll end there.
Neff, thank you so much for that concluding statement. Guys, thanks for a very engaging discussion portion. That was very fast paced and a lot of fun. The live chat had a lot of fun as well. So, okay, we've got a ton of great questions. Before we get to them, though, James W., you also have your 5-minute concluding statement. And whenever you are ready, go ahead.
Well, thank you, Donny, and thank you, NephilimFree, for that certainly engaging debate portion. It was a lot of fun. So, yeah, I would just say these depictions are not good evidence. We have clear depictions of animals that existed at the time. We know animals existed in ancient man that is totally concordant with evolution, no contradictions, but he's found a couple of them he thinks kind of look like dinosaurs, and he is, like I said in my opening, he is finding arrows on a cave wall, and he is pointing bullseyes around them. He's painting them to make it look like they're hits. He's not counting the misses. He's not counting the depictions that look nothing like anything. That it's art. We don't know that these animals existed at all, and it certainly does not overthrow the concordant scientific consensus that we have that man lived with dinosaurs. And I would just say, he said man didn't know beans about biology. The atheist, yet man had the Bible for hundreds of years since it came out of the various councils of the Catholic Church. Man had the Bible, so man should have known lots about biology, because the Bible gives a very clear, very concise version of biology. What man found was, when man looked out, when man reached out into reality from that abyss, from that time where you could be sentenced to death for questioning the Bible, for refusing to believe that the Bible is absolute fact, when we progressed away from that, where you could actually put reality and God to the test, we found, and the scientists found, that reality did not concord with the Bible. Geology did not concord with a Earth thousands of years old. They did not find evidence of a global flood. They did not find any evidence for anything, biblically speaking, period. They found evidence of a much older Earth. They found no evidence of a global flood. They found evidence only of local floods, which, of course, we concede happens. That's reality. And, I think his meme of showing these pictures children, I think that is a perfect encapsulation of it's the perfect dichotomy of what we're talking about here, is that while these things may superficially look like dinosaurs to the mind of a small child, to the people who know the to the people who have studied, who are not 4 years old, who have spent decades studying the subject, they look at these and they know that they are not dinosaurs. Dinosaurs did not live with humans, and that does not, I'll even throw out, that does not invalidate God. There are millions of Christians who are completely accepting of the idea that of deep time, of evolution. They're fine with it. It does not interfere one bit with their faith. And I would just suggest that you don't have to adhere to this young earth view of Christianity. You can, and you can join millions of your fellow Christians in coming aboard with science, coming to reality, and accepting that a lot of these stories, they're metaphor, they're not factually based stories, but that doesn't mean you have to throw out all notions of God or of Jesus. You can hold on to your faith and you can accept reality. And I suggest you do that because, like I told Neff, 100 years from now, evolution will still be taught in every academic institution worth its beans, and there will still be no sign of Jesus coming in the clouds because he never came to begin with. Jesus is a myth, unfortunately, and on there. Thank you, Donnie, and thank you so much, NephilimFree, for the engaging discussion.
All right, James W. and NephilimFree, thank you for a great debate. And I have to thank the audience for being so engaged in this debate, in this topic. We got a ton of fantastic questions that have come up, and all for the most part very much relevant to the dinosaurs and man topic. So I'm sure we'll have a round two right here in the audience Q&A. So as we always do, though, let's just make sure, we do allow a little back and forth on specific questions, and in order that the debaters can get their points out. But in order that we move along fairly and smoothly, whoever the question is for, we're going to make sure they get the last word. Okay, so here we go. I'll just, we'll go first question here. Comes in from Cool Jesus. Cool Jesus, thank you so much for the question. And the question is for Neff. So Cool Jesus asks you, Neff, why is there no art from Israel or the ancient Near East? We have gobs of it picturing storks, horses, camels, etc. Why not ones depicting dinosaurs?
Well, actually, there is. I showed one in my slide presentation. The dinosaur biting the horse at the back of its neck and crippling the animal is an art that was discovered in Israel.
Thanks.
One
Neff.
example. I would just say one example, and that's all I would say. Thank you, Neff. You're on mute, Donnie?
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, let's move right on. Let's move on right to the next one. So, all right, here we go. One coming in here from SWE, rocking the old Standing for Truth shirt. Appreciate that. Okay, SWE, $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Question for you again, Neff. So she asks, in Jurassic formations like in Oklahoma, we see fossils of dinosaurs, crocodiles, and turtles with evidence they died naturally from droughts. Why don't we ever see humans among these fossils?
Well, humans have existed in tiny numbers compared to other animals of the earth throughout the history of the world. So expecting to find a human fossil with a dinosaur fossil is like expecting to find a needle in a field full of haystacks. It's highly unlikely.
Thanks, Neff. James, go ahead.
No, you're good.
Okay.
No, I would just say, yeah, we would expect to see a lot of that if humans really did coexist with dinosaurs, but obviously we don't because they didn't.
All right, thank you. Neff, quick final word. Question was for you.
Well, it's not like dinosaurs and humans hung out together. They weren't going to the pub together. I think humans pretty much tried to stay away from anything that weighed 30,000 pounds and had giant teeth. It's probably a good idea.
All right, Neff, James, appreciate it. Okay, another one coming in from SWE. Thank you so much for the support and always with some good questions. So again, it's for you, Neff. Yes, and Neff, it's for you. So question is, what do you make of fossil dinosaurs that very clearly have feathers like Microraptor? They have same skeleton as Velociraptor, but with wings.
I would say that if they are true feathers, there's been a lot of controversy about whether or not they're true feathers. I don't think it's conclusive. The evidence is conclusive that they had feathers. But if it's true that they did, that would just be another example of God's creativity. I don't see any problem. It doesn't somehow slam the door on evolution being true, that God created creatures that are reptilian in form, but had feathers. That doesn't do anything to demonstrate evolution. I know it would fit with their ideas and their imagination, the evolutionist idea, but then also it fits in the evolutionist idea that dirt soup creates a human being over time. So you have to keep things in perspective.
Sure.
Thank you, Neff. James, over to you.
I would just say that's a really great question, and a lot of times creationists will ask, they're like, show me a positive mutation, show me something positive evolving, and this is a great example that SWE pointed out, because we have a point in the fossil record where before that point there were no feathers. We have a point where feathers did begin to emerge in the fossil record, and those feathers began to emerge in dinosaurs. And no, they were not originally used for flight. They were used for other things, maybe for warmth or for display purposes or whatnot. But we have clear evidence through the fossil record that feathers evolved long before birds did and long before flight did. And that's just how evolution works. It's an amazing representation of evolution. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Neff, question was for you. Go ahead.
Well, try getting a feather from evolution. Good luck with that. The complexity and specificity of the design of a feather is so that it does its remarkable deal. The idea that undirected chemistry
It's an evolved scale.
is quite insane. That's an absolutely bizarre mythological thing to believe. So that's just mythology. There are creatures in the fossil record that appear, disappear, like coelacanth is a famous example. Didn't find it in the fossil record. 65 million years ago, it disappears. Then guess what? Oh, they still exist today. So whether we find it in the fossils in a particular geological section of the geology column or not is not evidence that it came into being. And lastly, the preponderance of the world's most eminent scientists have all acknowledged in their own books that the transitional forms expected by evolution theory simply don't exist. Even the famous Stephen Jay Gould. So they're welcome to believe it, and they imagine it's true. They'll tell you it's true, but they admit when they write books intended for their peers to be read by their peers, they don't have them, and they would have them if evolution were true. But no, yeah, that's all.
All right, gentlemen, appreciate it. And to the questioners in the live chat, thanks for some great questions. The next one comes in from the synagogue, and we got one for you now, James. So first few were for Neff, and here's one for you, James. So CJ, thank you so much. He asks, why do all societies have legends of dragons, or dragons do not? So legends of dragons, if dragons do not have some basis in reality, I'm guessing he's saying.
Well, right. So I would say that, of course, dragons are badass creatures. They are really cool. And humans have depicted them for a long time. And that depiction continues today. But I will point out that dragons have always been depicted as breathing fire and flying with wings. And I know that Neff and a lot of the YEC crowd believe that maybe dinosaurs could breathe fire, because you can't prove that it was impossible from the fossil record. But none of them claim they had wings, because, of course, we can prove they did not have wings from the fossil record. But we can't prove they didn't have an organ to breathe fire. So maybe they breathe fire, right? Because you guys will believe anything that is unfalsifiable. But yeah, they're just really cool creatures that humans have conceptualized for thousands of years. I don't think that's good evidence. Humans have conceptualized lots of cool creatures like unicorns, minotaurs, lots of really cool creatures that are not concordant with reality. I think dragons fill that myth, and obviously they are using them to account for all dinosaurs, which is silly in my book.
James, thank you so much. And Neff, over to you for your any points you wanted to make. Oh, Neff, are you on mute?
Yeah, I'll just point out that he's dogmatically holding to the false idea that all dragons had to be something that breathed fire or had wings. I pointed out the absurdity of that. That's simply not the case. The word dragon simply means a giant beast. It literally means a giant beast, is what the word literally means. You look it up in the dictionary, look it up in the old Webster's dictionary, you'll see what the word actually means. And it doesn't depict just creatures that breathe fire or flew. So it's a term that man has used even in the Middle Ages to describe very large lizards that were not common in Europe, that man encountered in Europe, and they called them a dragon. They didn't know what else to call them. They called them a dragon. So the evidence is clear that dinosaurs did exist because man depicted them. He's got legends of them from all over the world.
Neff, thanks so much. James, question was for you. Get the last word.
Well, when we say literally, are we LPP speaking literally? I mean, did they literally exist or did they really exist? And I don't think that there's evidence they literally existed, because they're just legends, and that's all that they are. And yeah, humans would not have lumped all dinosaurs into one category, because, like, look at Velociraptor or Microraptor, as SB pointed out, a foot and a half tall. You would not lump that in the same category as an animal that is 30 or 40 feet tall. It just wouldn't make any sense.
All right, here we go. Next question comes in from Andrew Kaufman. So $10 super chat. Thanks so much, Andrew. Questions for you, James. James, do you think it's possible that you are being hyper skeptical? Could it be that your philosophy presents you from looking at the evidence in an unbiased way? So Andrew's coming at you, James. However you'd like to respond.
Absolutely. And you know what? Everybody comes into this with their biases. Everybody has their own opinions, and nobody is totally objective or unbiased. But the tool that we have, Andrew, is we have the scientific method, which is not perfect, but it's the best that we've ever developed. And that tool is designed to strip away as much of the bias, as much of our preconceived notions about reality as possible, so that we can get as close to reality as possible, so we can see what's actually happening without our biases. But no, it's impossible. And it's just not possible to strip away all our biases. We do the best that we can, though, and that's what the scientific method shows us, that these animals died off millions of years before human beings evolved, and that's just what it shows. It's not that anybody wants it to show that. If the evidence was otherwise, I would be fine to admit that it wasn't the case. It's just that happens to be what the evidence happens to show, and we can defend that logically and in concordance with reality. And the objections to that are all based on a preconceived adherence to mythology that just, unfortunately for your case, does not concord with reality. It's not what we see in the natural world. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, James. Thanks for the question, Andrew. Neff, over to you.
Well, my opponent is just appealing to a critical component of his worldview, and that is that God didn't make anything, and life is a product of rock soup that organizes itself, and chemistry is able to create a human being, and genetic information, which is prescriptive, algorithmic, and semiotic, which is absolutely scientifically impossible. He's appealing to a 19th century myth that's been propagated and is in fact dying in the scientific community, slow death, a painful one, and will be expunged from academia in 100 to 150 years. I can't help it for him that his worldview is never right in the beginning, and that his views that he holds to are unscientific, and they're just myths. And the last point I'll make about that is 90 years of study into mutation experiments have been performed, and all they ever discover that mutations cause is weakness, deformity, and death. The mythological idea that they build fantastically complex functional structural biology is nonsense. Been proven by 90 years of studying mutations. And the evolutionists still can't let go of the claim, no, mutations build fantastic stuff. See, it's just a mythological idea in the 1800s they can't let go of. That concludes my response.
Thanks, Neff. James, go ahead.
90 years, Neff? 90 years, really, because,
since
you know, 90 years, it takes millions of years for these structures to evolve evolutionarily. And, you know, for the idea that God didn't make anything or rock soup, that's not scientific. So science looks at everything as it is, and you can't propose a model. Your model of how God made anything is just magic. Poof, boom, God made this. Poof, God made that. Tell us how God made anything, please. Give us a model for how God made life. Don't just tell us God made it. Give us a model. How did he make literally anything? You can't give us a model. All you have to offer, Neff, is magic. We actually have to go in the laboratory and do the work of telling you exactly how it happened. And you hold our feet to the fire in that, but we don't get to hold your feet to the fire in the other one. And he said, evolution is dying. Neff, you could expunge it today if you could provide proof. If you could provide proof, Neff, that evolution wasn't true, Neff, you could win a Nobel Prize. You could hold your Nobel Prize and you could win that if you could prove it wasn't true. Unfortunately, it is true. I'll just end on that.
All right, moving on. Thank you, James. And next question. Good question, actually. Before I do, Neff, my brother, thanks so much for the support. No, thank you. Always to the debaters, thanks so much for giving us your time. I always say, you know, if you guys weren't generous with your time and these debates take a lot of work, then we wouldn't have all these debates.
I appreciate Neff and Donny for being so gracious to host these debates. So thank you guys.
My privilege, my privilege. You guys are making for a debate to remember. Clearly, people like this topic because we've had a great live chat, been very lively with a ton of people. So anybody in the chat, atheists or non-atheists, skeptics, non-skeptics, if this is a topic you're interested in engaging in, let me know. You know, we'll set up more debates on dinosaurs and man. Cool topic. So Mountain Hours, thanks so much for the support. Another one for you, James. So
Sure.
Mountain Hours asks, James, do you believe iron preserved soft tissue in dinosaur bones for 65 million years?
So that's talking about the issue of soft tissue preservation, dinosaurs, and that's actually one topic. I researched a lot. I haven't done a lot of research into that, dinosaur soft tissue, but yeah, I would just say that in reality, if we find something if we find one data point that doesn't appear to be concordant with everything else that we see, well, we have a problem. We have a question. Is it more likely that one data point is an anomaly or something that we don't understand yet? Or is it more likely that everything else we understand about the natural world is wrong? So I would just say that, yeah, it apparently is evident that there are certain methods of preservation of soft tissue that were not well understood, maybe that are not still completely well understood. But that one data point in and of itself does not overturn the mountain of evidence that we have on the other side. And if you're Christopher Hitchens made the important statement that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And if you have great evidence for that the entire worldview of science is wrong, present that. But one thing, when it's one data point or two data points, it's more likely that there's an undiscovered process, not well understood process that prevails. And science is working on that. By the way, right now as you speak, I bet there are scientists working on that one question. And when they find an answer, it will not be concordant with the magic hypothesis of theism. Then thank you. I'll conclude there.
Thank you, James. And Neff, over to you.
The discovery of soft tissue really has been another wrecking ball for the evolutionists' ideas. At first, they did what they always do. They're good little denialists. They said, no. When the discovery was first made, no, there can't be any soft tissue in dinosaur bones. The discoverers of it were thrown under the bus like they always do. Fired Mary Schweitzer, and And they kept saying, no, it can't be true. There's no such thing as soft tissue found in dinosaurs. Aron Ra, the famous atheist that I've refuted so many times in my videos, who talks about me so much, he said on video, no, there can never be found any soft tissue. It'll never be found in a dinosaur. It's not. Guess what now? All the secular evolutionist scientists are saying, yeah, it really is soft tissue. They've had to admit it. They were wrong again. And the soft tissue can't be there because the protein bonds, it can't be stretchy. It's not possible. You see, protein bonds, the amino acid bonds that make up a protein, they're going to fall apart. And the side chain bonds, they're going to fall apart in millions of years. DNA has a half-life of 521 years in normal temperatures. That's just DNA. What do you think is going to happen to a protein over millions of years? It's not going to be there. This is just another wrecking ball for the God denialist camp.
Well,
Go ahead, James.
I would say it's not a wrecking ball. It's kind of like a softball. It's kind of just a thing that got thrown at science that it maybe didn't expect, but it is in no way any major threat to the problem of it's no way a threat to evolution or anything like that. It's just an anomaly that science will explain, and when it does, I bet that explanation will be completely concordant with naturalism, as every explanation science has ever found before has been. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, appreciate it, James. And Neph for your answers to these questions. Okay, next one comes in from Stephen Tibet. Did I say that one right this time, Stephen? So question for you, James. And Stephen, thanks for the question. He asks, why would the Chinese calendar depict 11 real animals and one fictitious one, the dragon?
Well, that's the dragon has been something that has fascinated people for a long time. It's just an idea of a very, very large type of animal with wings that breathes fire, that flies, and apparently devours lots of things. It's kind of a thing that's been with us for a long time, as like unicorns have been with us for a long time, and ideas like minotaurs, fairies, other things like that are just not concordant with reality. Ideas like ghosts have been with us for a long time too. People have conceptualized ideas like ghosts. There are ghosts that exist, or that there's some type of afterlife where people go, or maybe there's a void in between the two. These are, again, not good evidence that humans lived with dinosaurs. As I said, dinosaurs varied in size from Microraptor being a foot tall to Brontosaurus being 30, 40, 50 feet tall, however tall their head was. And there's no way that humans would have classified all these animals together, and there's just no way that they would have all done that. And I think we have to consider the example of as being very relevant, the idea of like the Komodo dragon, which is a very fearsome predator that exists in that side of the world. And I'm sure the Komodo dragon had lots of input in the Far East in terms of their ideas of animals, maybe conceptualizing that as a much larger animal, more fearsome, even though it is fearsome as it is, and is quite capable of taking a child or a medium-sized human even as prey, as we see now in the world. Thank you.
All right, James, thank you so much for the response to Stephen Tibet's question. I think I said it right there that time. Apologies, Stephen. So, Neff, over to you, Neff, my good man, for your response.
Well, that's just the same story, pseudoscience versus real science, the myth of evolution. This fixes everything, they think, but it's just under fire. It's been under fire a long time. Richard Lewontin wrote a book, article in Science Daily 20-something years ago, Evolution Theory Under Fire. It's been under fire for a long time. It's an ancient, it's an old idea. It comes from the Hindu Brahmin who was preserved by Freemasonry throughout the Renaissance into the modern era. And it's a mythological idea. It starts with the denial of God and his creative power. So it's just pseudoscience versus, it's an 1800s idea. Think about where it came from. Charles Darwin wrote his infamous book in 1857. DNA was discovered in 1869 by a Swiss lab worker. They didn't even know DNA existed in Darwin's day. And they didn't know that DNA was a package of four-dimensional information that operates semiotically, linguistically, algorithmically, and possesses a higher level of information compression than any computer software algorithm can produce. They didn't know that in 1857. That's my response.
James,
Thank you.
Final word.
I would just say evolution is only on fire, under fire from people who come at evolution from a religious presupposition that it must be false. I think it's unusual that he threw out the Freemasonry. Obviously, he's indulgent in some conspiracy theories and things like that, but that's topic for the debate. But Darwin and DNA, and the amazing thing is, Charles Darwin, he wrote his theory. He didn't know anything about DNA, and he didn't know anything about how genetics or inheritance was transferred from one generation to the next. He didn't know anything about that. But when we discovered DNA and we discovered how it worked, isn't it funny that it's completely concordant with Darwinian model? And as much as they put into DNA, as much as they want to give it, it's still just a chemical. It is a chemical. It is matter and energy obeying the laws of physics, just like everything else that we see in the natural world. There's nothing magical happening. No magic. It's just reality. It operates the same way everything else does.
All right. Next question. I told you there's a lot of questions here, so we'll do a couple more and then kind of just start.
Keep going, Neff. I'm good. Or keep going.
You're good. You're good. Okay. Well, here we go. Assembly of God. Question for I will say, looking through the comment or looking through the questions I saved, there are several questions on topics you guys already kind of answered, like the Chinese calendar, dinosaur soft tissue. So, I don't want to be redundant. So here's one from Assembly of God. Question for James. Why do you put... Actually, no, let's do this one. This one's on topic. So question for James. How do you explain all the dragons on all the flags from different countries and St. George killing one?
Wow. Thank you for that question, Assemblies of God. And it's isn't it interesting that the visual depictions we have of dragons look nothing like these dinosaurs that Neff is claiming that they are. We have depictions of dragons and from China. You can look at their depictions of dragons and what dinosaurs do they look like? The answer is none. They don't look like any dinosaurs. They look like a mythological creature with exactly as they are. St. George killing one. I mean, I don't know. That story is pretty concordant with what you would expect from myth. I mean, it's exactly concordant with the saints who Neff believes apparently flew around the churches Superman style at that same time period, which those myths mysteriously dropped away and Christians stopped making those claims. Concordant with the advent of the camera. As soon as the camera came out, they stopped claiming their saints could fly. But before that, they all claimed that they did. Go figure. Seems like a myth to me.
James, thanks so much. Thanks so much for the question, Assembly of God. Go ahead, Neff.
Well, it's just, again, I'll point out that it's pseudoscience versus real science. An idea from ancient times. Man can't have coexisted with dinosaurs because God doesn't exist, because evolution is true. It's a bunch of circular reasoning. They appeal to their own mythological worldview that dirt soup comes alive, organizes itself. This is the magic of evolutionists, the people that think this way. Dirt soup organizes itself into, a cell, which is a microcosm of complex information-driven micro-technology that's just absolutely mind-bending in complexity. And they believe that undirected chemistry can produce that. And that random damage events to DNA, which is called mutations, they actually build eyeballs, pancreases, lungs, and ear bones. This is what these people believe. It's utter scientific nonsense. It's pseudoscience. So, I mean, you can believe these myths, that random mutations are going to, random mutations are the cause of virtually every single disease in human beings. A list as long as your arm if printed with a tiny font are protein code mutations. But evolutionists claim mutations designed proteins. All the 200,000 proteins in your cells designed by mutations. But guess what modern medical science says? Mutations to protein codes destroy them and cause diseases like diabetes, hypoglycemia, and a whole host of others. So it's this disease mechanism that made your eyeballs. See, that's the pseudoscience.
Thank you, Neff. James, final word.
Well, I would just say that we have models for things like that, for how the eyeball evolved. And, he's trying to take things that are extremely complicated scientifically and strawman them and throw them out there as if they're very simple and he can just back those strawmen down. Well, yeah, he could back those strawmen down, but that's not what science teaches. And I find it very, very, very telling that he came out with the cause of disease, because what Nephilim is claiming the cause of disease was that a rib woman ate fruit from the wrong tree. And as a result of that, the God of the universe had to intelligently redesign human DNA to rain death and destruction down on humanity as retribution for that woman eating fruit from the wrong tree, as he was instructed to by a talking snake with legs that was also a vegetarian. So his model is it's got quite a few holes in it, I would just say.
All right, let's so I would say, looking at these questions, we've hit pretty well all of them that aren't like a repeat, a same topic that we discussed. Yeah. What I'll do is I'll get Redefined Livings up here. We'll make this one the last one, just because maybe there's a few things hanging based on the responses from the last question that pertain to roughly the same topic. And it looks like there's some engagement in the chat over a few things too. So we'll make sure we leave no stone unturned. Maybe there's something else you want to add, and then we'll just kind of wrap it up, guys. So Redefined Living question, again, has to do with the dinosaur soft tissue. James, right, from your position, do you find that at all convincing for the coexistence of dinosaurs and man? Go ahead.
Certainly. It's an anomaly. And like I said, that's the one topic I haven't been able to research a whole lot in the preparation for this debate. And like I said before, I think that is when you have one data point or one issue that seems to be in concordant with everything else that you see, I think you have to take reality as a whole and you say, if we see the soft tissue here, what mechanism or what reason can we find for it being here that keeps everything else whole? And I think they're working on that. I think there are great mechanisms for that have been proposed. And if you want to hang your hat on that, you want to say, well, you know what? They found soft tissue in dinosaurs, so therefore everything else science says is BS. I'm just going to go with the Bible. You're welcome to do that, but that's not where science is. That's not where reality is. And I would just suggest that's a very tenuous way of dealing with reality. But if you have your preconceived ideas that this must be true and you want to hang your hat on that, go for it. You do you. Freedom of thought. Yeah.
Okay, James, appreciate it. Redefine Living, appreciate it, brother. Neff, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, carbon-14 is also found in dinosaur bones, unfossilized dinosaur bones. Two problems. How come it didn't rot away if it's not fossilized? If it hasn't been subject to permineralization and turning into a rock, how did it survive for millions of years? And secondly, how could there be any carbon-14 in it? Because carbon-14 enters the body of an animal because it's alive and it eats things like grass or whatever that has carbon-14 in it. That's how they get the carbon-14 into their body. And when they die, there's no more incoming carbon-14. Carbon-14's half-life is only 5,760 years or so, roughly, give or take 50 to 75 years, right? So there can be no carbon-14 in anything even 1 million years old. None. So when they find carbon-14 in the dinosaur bone, we know that dinosaur bone wasn't millions of years old. It's only thousands. And that's real science versus this secular myth that dirt soup organized itself into Jean Vermeer and Michelangelo.
Thank you, Neff. And James, final word on that question?
So there are ways that carbon-14 that can contaminate stuff that was older, and scientists are well aware of this. They are like well aware of how this processes operate, where there are processes where carbon-14 can get itself into things that are older. And like I said before, this is the problem with taking things that are anomalies. Like we have 1 or 2 or 3 data points that don't seem to be concordant with everything else. Well, you know what? Maybe there's something going on here that that explains all that. And there is carbon-14 contamination, and that they know that they cannot use carbon-14 to date certain things, like things found in water where the reservoir process operates, where carbon-14 can pool and give an anomalous reading. Scientists are well aware of this, and I think it's just very fallacious for people who have done very little to no research into the field to look at people who have done decades of research into the field and say that their conclusions on that this is not a problem for deep time, this is not a problem for evolution, which is what they say. If you just say, well, I think it is a problem because I've done no research, but I found this one data point which suggests it is a problem. I don't think it is. It's just the problem is that the problem is with you, not with the science. I'll just say that.
All right, thanks so much. I've got 2 final super chats I almost missed, but
Go ahead.
I just organized these. So here's okay, 2 more. Here we go. Last 2 SWE again, $5 super chat. Thanks so much. Put my kids through college.
Thank you,
So here we go.
SWE.
Question. I guess this one is for Neff. So Neff, my good man, she is asking you, why don't the Nazca lines depict any dinosaurs?
Oh, that's easy to answer because the Native American tribes that created those lines didn't depict dinosaurs when they made them. They instead depicted spiders and a few other insects. But they didn't draw every kind of creature. They just drew a couple kinds. It's pretty easy.
All right.
Very
Thank you,
easy.
Neff. Thanks, SWE. James, over to you.
I would just say I think it's quite foolish that to think that they would not draw the biggest and most badass, cool creatures in the environment, and would instead tend to draw these more mundane creatures. It just it's evidence they didn't live with dinosaurs. That these animals that had the most impact in their life were ants and spiders and creatures that could have bit them or caused them a hard time, whereas the dinosaurs were not a threat to them because they did not live with dinosaurs.
All right. Neff, you get the final word on this one. Go ahead.
I would say they absolutely did, and they talked about them too. Remember the picture of Allosaurus, there's a picture of Allosaurus. Notice the 2 little bitty legs in the front with the 3 claws, like tiger claws, that Marco Polo described. Remember that? He described them as being big beasts with lizards with 2 small little dinky front arms with 3 huge claws on them like those of a tiger. And because he was talking about a dinosaur, I conclude with that.
All right. Thank you, Neff. And you guys made it. You guys made it. We're on the final question, 2+ hours. But I got to say, time has flown by. This has been an incredibly interesting topic to debate and hear you gentlemen discuss. So, okay, here we go. Last one comes in from OF Lamio. $5 super chat. Thank you so much. The question is, looks like it's to the both of you. So we'll get some responses from the both of you. Are chickens dinosaurs? Does man coexist with chickens? James, why don't we start with you?
Well,
Or actually, you're chewing. We could start with Neff if you want, or it's up to you guys. Whatever.
you want to take it, Nev?
Okay, so according to the
Go ahead.
secular camp, chickens are dinosaurs, which I think is quite absurd. They're obviously a bird. Man, evolutionists thinks birds are dinosaurs. They say birds are dinosaurs. But then the other side of their mouth, they say birds evolved from dinosaurs. So, but they evolved from them. But they are, but they evolved from them. But wait, they are, but they evolved from them. See, and we also know that that birds, lots of modern birds, coexisted with dinosaurs, as I pointed out, and I even gave a science article that states that unequivocally. So it's a modern discovery against evolutionists and their 19th century myths. That's all. I'm done.
All right.
Well,
Over to you, James.
I would just say, yeah, birds are dinosaurs, and no, they're not all dinosaurs. Not all dinosaurs evolved into birds. It was a small subset of dinosaurs that did evolve into birds. And coincidentally, since you mentioned chickens, there have been chickens that have been genetically engineered to have teeth, not just serrations on their beak, but actual teeth. And what you have to ask yourself is, why would an intelligent designer encode in the genetic code of the chicken the ability to make teeth? It doesn't make any sense. Chickens have a beak. Why would a designer write the code for teeth into a chicken? It's there because their ancestors had teeth, but they evolved where they don't need teeth. They just have a beak, and it does them just fine. Chickens are dinosaurs because you cannot outgrow your ancestry. Whatever a trillion years from now becomes of humans will still be humans. And yeah, thank you.
All right, there we go. We made it to the end of the debate. James, Neff, thank you so much for doing this. Thanks for your time. To the audience, thank you for, as always. I think we got the best audience out there. We get so many good questions, and that was a ton of fun, that audience Q&A. So what we'll get is some final thoughts, final words from the debaters. Neff, let's start with you. Thanks so much for doing this. Nice to see you back in the ring. And final thoughts, final words. Oh, Neff, you there?
Yeah, I would just let me share a picture if I can. Let's see. Yeah, this one.
Sure.
So there are birds with teeth today. There's about half a dozen species of birds that have teeth, and these are real teeth. They're in gums inside the beak. So there's about 6 or 8 known species of birds that have real teeth. And so all we're hearing is, evolution has to be true because my worldview falls apart, and therefore evolution is true, and my world doesn't fall apart. That's basically what it is. You take away evolution theory from the secular camp, especially the atheist, and their whole worldview melts. But it's been overturned. Man did walk with dinosaurs, obviously. Man depicted modern species, well-known species of dinosaurs like Edmontosaurus, Protoceratops, pterodactyls, Allosaurus or Coreanthropus. I mean, Triceratops. Another half a dozen other species, large sauropod dinosaurs, of dinosaurs accurately depicted by ancient man in his art. It's right on up through the early Middle Ages, in fact. And the man's legends of dinosaurs, the evolutionist atheist has to believe that these are just myths, even though the art is quite clear that these are dinosaurs. Again, you could show them to a small child and they'll clearly tell you it's a dinosaur. But when an atheist or evolutionist looks at these pictures, they'll say it doesn't look very much like a dinosaur to me. But a 5-year-old would tell you, oh, that's a dino. See? So who's right? The kids are right. Right. The kids are right. And the other is just denial. And they have to deny. The only thing they can do with these depictions of dinosaurs is to say it doesn't really look like one. But of course it does. As I pointed out, a 5 or 6-year-old kid would clearly tell you that's a dinosaur. But an evolutionist can't do that. They have to deny. So that's all I would say. Modern science versus 18th century, 19th century myths, and the truth of God's word and the science. Modern science has shown us that the Earth is only thousands of years old. Man did coexist with dinosaurs, and there's a massive amount of evidence for this. Can't possibly give it all right now. It would take me 2-3 hours to just touch upon every subject that demonstrates the Earth is only thousands of years old. Man did, in fact, coexist with dinosaurs, and evolution is not true. The world is beginning to cough up a great myth that's been pushed onto them by the secular camp because they refuse to believe in God. But that vomiting process is only going to intensify over the next century, and that's the end of their worldview. And their scientific clamoring will be gone. I conclude with that.
Okay, Neff, thanks for those final thoughts, final words. James, go ahead if you'd like to take equal time on your final thoughts, final words. Thank you for doing this as well. Go ahead.
I would just say that religion has been making claims for thousands of years, and we have never seen any of them come to pass. We have been Christians have always thought they were living in the last days since right after the time of they claim Christ lived, and yet we keep marching right along. The Freemason satanic conspiracy has not taken over yet, even though they have control over everything. Their tentacles are all over. They will be in control one day. One day they will be in control. I don't think that is a very same way of looking at the world. So what do we have from him? We have his notion that all the experts are wrong. Everybody who knows anything about the topics, they're all wrong. They don't know what they're talking about. Let's bring a bunch of 5-year-olds or 4-year-olds in, and let's ask them what these drawings look like, and let's take what they think as reality. And I'll just say that's not how we should do things. Let's actually look at the people who know what they're talking about. Let's look at the people who have studied the subject. They look at his dinosaur footprints, they look at his art, and they say, yeah, it's not good evidence. It's not overthrow the scientific consensus. We have deep time. We have deep time. And I'll be happy to come and debate evolution, genetics, or any other topic, but that wasn't the topic today. We have dinosaurs coexisting with humans, and unfortunately, we don't have any evidence of that. And I would be more than happy to acknowledge it if it was. Like I said, it would not in any way overthrow our worldview. First of all, we don't have a worldview to defend. We're just trying to see what's real, what actually happened. If your God concords with our reality, we'll admit that he exists. I'll admit that he doesn't mean necessarily I'll worship him, but I'll still wouldn't deny that he exists. But unfortunately, we don't have any evidence that he does exist. And I will say that's a good thing because nobody has to worry about burning in hell because they don't want to worship him. But I'll just leave it with that. Yeah, we don't have any evidence. No evidence of dinosaurs existing with humans. No evidence of his God. Evolution's true. It will be taught in every academic institution worth its salt. Ad infinitum, 1,000 years from now, it'll still be taught as true because it is true. And thank you. It was a lot of fun. Thank you, Donnie, and thank you, Neff, for the great debate.
Agreed. Definitely a ton of fun. Thanks, guys, for doing it. I believe Neff is having an after show in about 30 minutes, and James is having an after show tomorrow.
It'll be tomorrow, on the Amy Newman channel.
All right. Well, the relevant links, that is, are in the description box. Thank you so much to the debaters, and thank you so much to our awesome chat. You guys are the life and blood of this channel, and I really do appreciate the support. As always, I am going to stick around here just for 2 or 3 minutes, going over some reminders and some announcements, and I am going to let Neph and James, get on out of here and enjoy their night, because you both earned it. So, Neph, James, thanks so much.
Have a good night, Donny. Thank you, Neff.
Thank you, Donny.
All right, there we go. Another one in the books. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I've been excited for this one for a while. It's great to have NephilimFree back here doing debates. I appreciate James W. being here doing these debates as well. James has a couple of debates coming up, one with T-Rock, one with Kent Hovind. That'll be round 3. So SWE, yes. Another one in the books. So I think now we got to be close to 190 debates now. So if you're a debate addict, please make sure that you're subscribed. Hit that like button. Hit that notification bell. Synagogue. So CJ and myself, with CJ doing most of the work, we've been doing a series demolishing the uninspiring compromiser. So glad to see so much fantastic feedback on that series. We just did part 3 last night. And so part 4 and part 5 should be in the next week or two. Part 4 probably in 1 week, and then part 5 after that. Part 5 is going to be more of like an audience Q&A. So everybody that's watched the series, if you have objections, challenges, criticisms, questions, arguments, part 5 is just for that. And if there's any old earthers out there, theistic evolutionists, and you want to debate the topic of the age of the earth from the scriptures, but more specifically, death before the fall. So if you are willing to debate that topic, please let me know, and we will set you up for a debate against CJ. So I think that would be a lot of fun. Same thing with the dinosaurs topic. Dinosaurs and man, if you want to debate the topic of dinosaurs and man and their coexistence, please let me know. We've got a ton on the team, the Young Earth Creation team, I guess you could say. There's a ton of us that are always willing to do debate. So I did want to remind everybody that so last night, Friday night, we did a 4-hour open mic, and it was on James 2. Ton of fun. We had a 10-person panel and some very knowledgeable individuals, and we all first couple hours was very formal, and then we opened it up for discussion, some cross-exam. It was fun. It was edifying. It was great. So Christopher Silvius, exactly. What passage is the next open mic on? So here we go. We're going to be doing these. I'm going to announce it right now. So here we go. Every week, every Friday, hopefully Friday or Saturday, people got the day off. Possibly they're able to stay up a little bit later. We had a great chat all throughout the night. So, even if we start them a little later, it looks like people still have a lot of fun with it. So going to try and do it once a week, and that'll be, good reason for people to stay away from the Netflix and things like that. And they'll be able to enjoy, a solid open mic. So as you can see here, John 15. So next week, I think it's going to be Friday, possibly Saturday. I'll set it. Another panel discussion. Okay, we've got room for 10. So please let me know. CJ, my man, hopefully you can be there. And, a lot of the other people that were there. Christopher, you're welcome to be here. Anybody. So there you go. John 15. That'll be next week. Maybe the week after that, we'll do Matthew 7. I'm open to... I'm open to suggestions. So this debate community, you guys are great. And I love that we come together. It's not just an echo chamber. We come together and we discuss these important issues, these important topics. We challenge each other, and, no keyboard ninjas, no keyboard Karens in our debate community, right? We come together and we discuss these topics, these issues. So if you haven't seen the open mic from last night, James 2, please check it out. 4 hours, tons of fun. And then as you can see, next week we're going to be doing the same. So here we go. Some evolution debate challenge series debates coming up. So Mark Reed versus Kent Hovind, James W, Kent Hovind, T Jump, Kent Hovind. This one's going to be epic. This is going to be the epic rematch. I believe the first one that we did a few months ago is sitting at like one of the top 3 most viewed debates here on the channel. So that one was epic. Matt Slick and John Barton is oneness biblical, and another oneness debate too. Well, Unitarianism, Taylor Stewart and Kelly Powers. In just a few days, we've got CJ Cox and Nick Sayers. Is the KJV the only legitimate English version? So, I've got several proponents of the KJV only position that are ready and willing to debate. And so anybody who wants to debate against that position, like CJ here, appreciate you doing it, CJ and Nick, please let me know. We'll get some of these sophisticated debates going on the Bible translation issue. I've also just sat Will Kinney and Francis Turretin, same topic, is the KJV without error. So that'll be, I think, the first week of July, just working out some final details in terms of the day and time. And then I'll get that up on the channel as well. So again, a reminder, I'm looking forward to this next Friday. Paleo Logos, Mr. 99% Evo, 1% YEC. We are going to be debunking his very weak, to say the least, video on the geologic column. We'll be here. Half our brains tied behind our back. Matt Man coming out of retirement. Dr. Dino and myself refuting the critics, the geologic column. So it'll be a general presentation on the geologic column by Kent. And then we're going to play a few random clips from Mr. Paleo Logos, the 99% Evo, 1% YEC, his video. A couple arguments from there. And we'll have Kent address them. We'll take some audience questions. And what we may even do for that one is if certain people have questions, but they're willing to come onto the show with a mic and a webcam, we'll allow them to ask the question live to Kent. Of course, I'll moderate and make sure that they have time to ask the question. Kent can answer, and there can even be a follow-up. So we want to start doing those as well for 2022. Live Q&As, but not just like comments popping up, actually having people join the show, almost like a live call-in. Okay. So praise good. I think CJ's KJV preferred and Nick Sayers is KJV only. So it is a debate between KJV preferred and KJV only, essentially. So again, there's always debates that we're looking to set up on soteriology, theology, morality, creation, evolution. The Evolution Debate Challenge series, as you can see, it's been prolific. We've had so many debates in this series. There's just not enough time in the day. So I've done 2 episodes now. I've personally done 100 formal debates, but I'm doing so much work here with hosting these debates. That's why we're doing the open mics once a week. So if you want to, I get a lot of people emailing me too. They want to have a discussion on soteriology. So that's what those open mics are for. Jump in there. That'll be fun. We challenge each other. And when it comes to those of differing views, let's say evolutionists, of course, I'm a biblical creationist. I'm doing this creation versus evolution podcast series here on the channel. Okay. So this is a priority currently when it comes to debates. There's a few evolutionists out there that are like, I want to debate you, but they don't want to do it here. Well, you're going to have to wait because I'm a busy man, but I'm doing this podcast series. So suck it up and jump on the show with me. Okay. So I've done 2 of these so far, one with Ken Rock, one with Andrew Cumming. Appreciate those discussions. Very intellectual discussions. I appreciated them. So I'm going to be doing one, looks like with Luca Medugno coming up. Luca, saw you in the chat, my good man. We're going to be doing, believe it or not, endogenous retroviruses. So that's going to be fun. And I've got one that I'm setting up with Mark Drysdale. Sneak was right, and I were supposed to do a round 2. I think we're going to do it in podcast form as well. So I've reached out to some other, well-known atheist evolutionists. Yeah, this is the creation versus evolution conversation podcast. So, there he is. There he is, the Italian stallion, Luca Medugno. So awesome. Appreciate it. Okay, well, I think that's all that comes to mind. Actually, one final thing, and Kevin's Biblical Discussions. Good to see you. Hope you'll be joining our open mic as well. So last thing I want to mention too is I'll put the links in the chat. The Endogenous Retrovirus Handbook. So you can still get the limited edition. The feedback's been so great on this limited edition copy that it's still for sale. So this is the old edition, but you can also get the limited edition. And for those that have expressed the fact that they prefer a Kindle, I'm just getting it right now. We do have the Kindle edition available. Good to go. $5-6. 200 pages pretty much on endogenous retroviruses, refuting the critics, the most comprehensive response to endogenous retroviruses as evidence for common descent that you will be able to find. So there's the link to the Kindle edition. If you have not yet picked it up, what are you waiting for? Pick it up. It's worth it. I promise you. The cover looks great. And there's the physical copy. So I also just did a show. So I did 2 interviews last week, one on Kelly Powers' channel. We discussed creation evolution. And then just a couple days ago, I did one on Bread of Life's channel, her evolution channel. It's called Examining Evolution. That was a ton of fun too. Check that out. And I did an interview on Christ Jesus Ministries channel, Christopher Cernicke, and he's informed me that on the 25th, so in 5 or 6 days, he is going to be uploading that on his channel, which is Christ Jesus Ministries, I think it's called. So happy Father's Day to all the dads. Cheryl, appreciate it, sister. SWE says she has both the Kindle and the black one. Appreciate the support. And SWE's rocking the Standing For Truth ministry shirt too. So very cool, very cool. Cheryl, appreciate that. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Luca, maybe we'll get an Italian version of the Endogenous Retrovirus Handbook. So anyways, I think that's all that comes to mind, guys. Thanks for tuning in today. Thanks for sticking with me during these announcements and reminders. Tomorrow, being Sunday, we do have off, but the debates continue on Monday. Again, I think Monday to Friday, just another packed week. Shows pretty much every single day. And then on the Friday, probably double streams like last time, because we will be doing our open mic series. So we have a lot going on, as you guys can see. If you're not yet subscribed, hit that subscribe button. We promise you it'll be worth it. Okay, that being said, I'm sure we'll see you over on NephilimFree's after show. And Stand For Truth is out. God bless all.